Chapter 1042. What? Do you still think that lousy toy of yours can hurt me? The first Supreme Elder looked at the demonic crystal cannon in disdain when he heard Yi Hao's words. Yin Liang, kill him for me. Yi Hao instructed Yi Hao. What? Me? Yin Liang's face was filled with disbelief when he heard Yi Hao's words, as if he had misheard. After all, he was well aware that although he had improved rapidly and his strength had increased greatly, he was still no match for the first Supreme Elder. However, he definitely wasn't a match for the first Supreme Elder. At the very least, he couldn't do what the first Supreme Elder did. He couldn't face the magic crystal cannon without dying. Ha ha ha, what an idiot. Even your subordinate knows that he isn't a match for me, yet you still want him to court death. The first Supreme Elder couldn't help but laugh when he saw Yin Liang's expression. That was because the first Supreme Elder could tell with a single glance that Yin Liang's cultivation was definitely not his match. I told you to go, so go. Why are you spouting so much nonsense? Yi Hao said to Yin Liang. Yes, your majesty. As the saying went, if the ruler wanted the subject to die, the subject had no choice but to die. Yin Liang pulled out his weapon and attacked the first Supreme Elder. I didn't expect to meet a pair of idiots. Since you're courting death, I'll grant you your wish. The first Supreme Elder looked at Yin Liang with disdain. That person is really an idiot. Isn't he courting death? What kind of strength is the first Supreme Elder? Killing him would be child's play. Sigh. Fighting the first Supreme Elder? If he isn't retarded, then what is? Judging from his appearance, he's probably just a piece of trash that the first Supreme Elder could kill with a single slash. When the surrounding crowd saw that Yin Liang had actually taken the initiative to attack the first Supreme Elder, their faces were filled with disdain. What? Do you still think that lousy toy of yours can hurt me? The first Supreme Elder looked at the demonic crystal cannon in disdain when he heard Yi Hao's words. Yin Liang, kill him for me. Yi Hao instructed Yi Hao. What? Me? When Yin Liang heard Yi Hao's words, it was as if he had misheard. His face was full of disbelief. After all, he was well aware that even though he was making rapid progress and his strength had greatly increased, he was still not strong enough. However, he definitely wasn't a match for the first Supreme Elder. At the very least, he couldn't do what the first Supreme Elder did. He couldn't face the magic crystal cannon without dying. Ha ha, what an idiot. Even your subordinate knows that he's not my opponent, yet you still want him to come and seek death. Seeing Yin Liang's appearance, the first Supreme Elder couldn't help laughing. That was because the first Supreme Elder could tell with a single glance that Yin Liang was definitely not his match. Just do as I say. What's with all this nonsense? Yi Hao said to Yin Liang. This general obeys. As the saying goes, if the ruler wants the subject to die, the subject has no choice but to die. Yin Liang had a bitter expression as he took out his weapon and attacked the first Supreme Elder. I didn't expect that I would actually meet a pair of idiots. Since you're courting death, I'll fulfill your wish. The first Supreme Elder's eyes were full of disdain as he watched Yin Liang attack him. That person is really an idiot. Isn't he courting death? What kind of strength does the first Supreme Elder have? Wouldn't killing him be a piece of cake? Sigh. Fighting the first Supreme Elder. If he isn't retarded, then what is? Judging from his appearance, he's probably just a piece of trash that the first Supreme Elder could kill with a single slash. When the surrounding crowd saw that Yin Liang had actually taken the initiative to attack the first Supreme Elder, their faces were full of disdain. Why? Do you still think that lousy toy of yours can hurt me? The first Supreme Elder looked at the magic crystal cannon in disdain when he heard Yi Hao's words. Yin Liang, kill him for me. Yi Hao directly instructed Yi Hao. What? Me? Yin Liang's face was full of disbelief when he heard Yi Hao's words, as if he had misheard. After all, he was well aware that although he had improved rapidly and his strength had increased greatly, he was still no match for the first Supreme Elder. However, he definitely wasn't a match for the first Supreme Elder. At the very least, he couldn't do it like the first Supreme Elder, who had faced the magic crystal cannon without dying. Ha ha ha, what an idiot. Even your subordinate knows that he's no match for me, yet you still want him to court death. The first Supreme Elder couldn't help but laugh when he saw Yin Liang's appearance. After all, the first Supreme Elder could tell that Yin Liang was definitely no match for him at a glance. Just do as I say. Why are you spouting so much nonsense? Yi Hao said to Yin Liang. Yes, your majesty. As the saying went, if the ruler wanted the subject to die, the subject had no choice but to die. Yin Liang pulled out his weapon and attacked the first Supreme Elder. I didn't expect to meet a pair of idiots. Since you're courting death, I'll grant you your wish. The first Supreme Elder's eyes were full of disdain as he watched Yin Liang attack him. That person is really an idiot. Isn't he courting death? What kind of strength does the first Supreme Elder have? Killing him would be child's play. Sigh, fighting the first Supreme Elder? If he's not retarded, what is he? Judging from his appearance, he's probably just a piece of trash that the first Supreme Elder could kill with a single slash. When the surrounding crowd saw that Yin Liang had actually taken the initiative to attack the first Supreme Elder, their faces were filled with disdain. Why? Do you still think that lousy toy of yours can hurt me? The first Supreme Elder looked at the magic crystal cannon in disdain when he heard Yi Hao's words. Yin Liang, kill him for me. Yi Hao instructed Yi Hao. What? Me? Yin Liang's face was full of disbelief when he heard Yi Hao's words, as if he had misheard. After all, he was well aware that although he had improved rapidly and his strength had increased greatly, he was still no match for the first Supreme Elder. However, he definitely wasn't a match for the first Supreme Elder. At the very least, he couldn't do what the first Supreme Elder did. He couldn't face the magic crystal cannon without dying. Ha ha ha, one idiot. Even your subordinate knows that he's no match for me. Yet you still want him to court death. The first Supreme Elder couldn't help but laugh when he saw Yin Liang's appearance. That was because the first Supreme Elder could tell with a single glance that Yin Liang's cultivation was definitely not his match. I told you to go, so go. What's with all the nonsense? Yi Hao said to Yin Liang. Yes, your majesty. As the saying went, if the ruler wanted the subject to die, the subject had no choice but to die. Yin Liang pulled out his weapon and attacked the first Supreme Elder. I never imagined that I would actually encounter a pair of idiots. Since you're courting death, I'll grant you your wish. The first Supreme Elder looked at Yin Liang with disdain. That person is really an idiot. Isn't he courting death? Chapter 1043. Everyone's eyes lit up when they heard the third highest elder's words, and they started to surround Yi Hao from all directions. Your Majesty, be careful. Yin Liang couldn't help but look at Yi Hao worriedly when he heard the third highest elder's intentions. Yin Liang wanted to give up on attacking the third highest elder and go over to help Yi Hao. Kill that old fellow. Don't worry about me. Yi Hao immediately ordered Yin Liang. Yes, your majesty. Although Yin Liang was worried about Yi Hao, he had no choice but to continue attacking the first highest elder after receiving Yi Hao's order. Attack! A group of people immediately surrounded Yi Hao from all directions. However, this group of people wasn't stupid. They all aimed the demonic crystal cannons at Yi Hao. Come on! Yi Hao revealed a sinister smile when he saw the people rushing over from all directions. Yi Hao calmly took out another 3 demonic crystal cannons and aimed them in 3 different directions. Everyone's faces turned pale when they saw the sudden appearance of the 3 demonic crystal cannons. Everyone was stunned on the spot and sucked in a breath of cold air. Why are there so many of them? Are these things so powerful? Why are they so worthless? Oh my God, there are these things in all directions. How are we going to charge? Everyone was fearful as they looked at the demonic crystal cannons beside Yi Hao. None of them dared to step forward. Don't be afraid. These things need to be filled with spirit stones. All of you, charge forward in one go. The third highest elder was also shocked when he saw the 3 demonic crystal cannons that suddenly appeared under Yi Hao's feet. However, a greedy look appeared in the eyes of the third supreme elder when he saw the 4 demonic crystal cannons. After all, he was very clear about the power of the demonic crystal cannons. He had almost died under the demonic crystal cannons. If the Black Sword sect could obtain these demonic crystal cannons, the Black Sword sect's strength would definitely increase greatly. However, He also noticed that every time Yi Hao used the demonic crystal cannon, he had to add a large amount of spirit stones into the cannon. In his opinion, filling the 3 demonic crystal cannons with spirit stones was the best opportunity to take down Yi Hao. Yi Hao also took out a large amount of spirit stones. When everyone heard Third Supreme Elder's words and saw Yi Hao's actions, they immediately rushed forward. Yi Hao, on the other hand, still looked like he was in a hurry as he continued to gather spirit stones. Hurry up, and charge. Seeing Yi Hao's actions, the Third Supreme Elder kept urging him. Because he could tell that Yi Hao was panicking, he was even more certain that Yi Hao was anxiously adding spirit stones into the demonic crystal cannon. At this moment, the Third Supreme Elder's expression was filled with anticipation and nervousness. Because as long as they could get Yi Hao, Yin Liang would not be a problem. And as long as they could get these demonic crystal cannons, the Black Sword sect's loss this time would not be considered much. After all, these 4 demonic crystal cannons were equivalent to 4 Atman body level 10 spiritual practitioners, and they were the best of the best. Ha ha! All of you will pay the price for your ignorance. Just as everyone was about to rush in front of Yi Hao, the panic on Yi Hao's face suddenly turned into a smile. Boom! 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 Yi Hao did not delay and immediately activated the 4 demonic crystal cannons. The 4 demonic crystal cannons instantly turned the spirit stones in their bodies into balls of light and bombarded the 4 people. What's going on? Hurry up and run. Run for your lives. The surrounding people looked at the balls of light that were bombarding them and fled frantically. Unfortunately, their cultivation was too low, so how could they outrun the shells of the demonic crystal cannons? And because they were too close to the front, it was too late for them to escape even if they wanted to. Therefore, the group of people was instantly swallowed by the shells. Ding dong! Congratulations to the host for killing a First-Order Demon Venerable. Congratulations to the host for obtaining 1,000 experience points. Ding dong! Congratulations to the host for killing a Third-Order Demon Venerable. Congratulations to the host for obtaining 3,000 experience points. Ding dong! Congratulations to the host for obtaining 2 Demon Venerable Realm Level Up pills. Ding dong! Congratulations to the host for killing a 7th-Order Demon Venerable. Congratulations to the host for obtaining 7,000 experience points. Ding dong! Congratulations to the host for killing a 2nd-Order Demon Emperor. Congratulations to the host for obtaining 20,000 experience points. Ding dong! Congratulations to the host for obtaining 1 Demon Emperor Realm Level Up pill. Ding dong! Congratulations to the host for killing a First-Order Demon Emperor. Congratulations to the host for obtaining 10,000 experience points. Ding dong! Congratulations to the host for killing a 9th-Order Demon Venerable. Congratulations to the host for obtaining 9,000 experience points. Ding dong! Congratulations to the host for obtaining 5 Demon Venerable Realm Level Up pills. In an instant, hundreds of people were swallowed by the magic crystal cannons from all directions. And in Yi Hao's mind, the system's notifications kept ringing. Ding dong! Congratulations to the host for obtaining the full experience points. Do you want to break through to the First-Order Demon Venerable? At this moment, the system's notification sounded in Yi Hao's mind. No, Yi Hao quickly refused to level up. After all, if it was any other level, he would level up. Normally, when other martial artists broke through from the Demon Venerable to the Demon Emperor level, they would have the chance to sense the existence of a trace of spiritual power. Then, they would have the chance to promote from martial artist to martial artist. But Yi Hao was different from ordinary martial artists. He had a feeling that when the Demon Emperor broke through to the Demon Venerable level, he would be able to obtain spiritual power. The sooner the spiritual power entered the body, the better it would be for martial artists. Therefore, Yi Hao did not dare to be the slightest bit careless. He had to wait until he was fully prepared before breaking through. After all, this was still the enemy's territory. The Grand Supreme Elder and the others had not been completely killed. If he broke through here and the Grand Supreme Elder and the others seized the opportunity, then he would be courting death. So for now, he still had to kill the Grand Supreme Elder, Han Qingzi, and the others first. How is this possible? Aren't there no spirit stones in that thing? How can it be used? The Grand Supreme Third Elder was completely stunned when he saw the scene in front of him. He did not understand. He clearly did not see how adding spirit stones into the magic crystal cannons. Why were the magic crystal cannons still able to attack? How could he have known that Yi Hao had predicted that such a scene might happen before he came? Therefore, Yi Hao had filled the magic crystal cannons with spirit stones from the beginning. As for why Yi Hao had pretended to be flustered and anxious just now, it was also to give the Black Sword sect people an illusion. He had only wanted to confuse them so that they would be at ease and boldly charge forward. Then, he would be able to catch all of them in one fell swoop. Who would have thought that things would progress so smoothly that he would be able to get rid of everyone at once? Chapter 1044. It's a bit too late to react now. Yi Hao couldn't help but smile when he heard the Third Supreme Elder's words. Yi Hao immediately moved the demonic crystal cannons and aimed them at the Third Supreme Elder and the others. Not good, Run. The Third Supreme Elder looked at the black muzzle of the demonic crystal cannons and knew that he wasn't a match for the demonic crystal cannons. The Third Supreme Elder didn't dare to delay and immediately started running. Seeing the Third Supreme Elder running away, the Second Supreme Elder and Han Qingzi also started running away. Do you think you can escape? Yi Hao smiled when he saw the three of them running away. Seeing the three of them running in three different directions, it meant that the three of them weren't too stupid. Yi Hao immediately aimed the three demonic crystal cannons at the three of them. Yi Hao quickly started loading the three demonic crystal cannons with demonic crystals. Bang! 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 After loading the demonic crystals, Yi Hao immediately fired. Although the three of them ran fast enough, they obviously hadn't run out of the attack range of the demonic crystal cannons. The three of them felt the loud sound of the demonic crystal cannons behind them and the powerful force behind them. Their faces all turned pale. Their heads were instantly covered in cold sweat. The three of them ran for their lives. At this moment, they really hated themselves for not having a few more legs. No, among the three of them, Han Qingzi's cultivation was the lowest, so he was also the first to be hit by the demonic crystal cannons. Han Qingzi didn't have the slightest ability to fight back in front of the demonic crystal cannons. Han Qingzi immediately let out an unwilling roar. But no matter how hard he roared, he couldn't escape the fate of death. Ding dong, congratulations to the host for killing a rank 3 Atman body expert. Congratulations to the host for obtaining 300,000 experience points. Ding dong, congratulations to the host for obtaining 2 Atman body level up pills. When the Second Supreme Elder and the Third Supreme Elder saw Han Qingzi die, they cried out helplessly to Han Qingzi. They were all scared, but there was nothing they could do, because they couldn't even protect themselves at this moment. First Supreme Elder, save me. Save me, First Supreme Elder. At this moment, the Second Supreme Elder and the Third Supreme Elder felt that they were doomed. They had already stepped into hell. The cannonballs behind them made them feel the aura of death. At that moment, they truly had no other choice. Thus, they could only seek help from the First Supreme Elder. After all, within the Black Sword sect, only the First Supreme Elder could withstand the attack of the demonic crystal cannon. They didn't want to die, so they could only place their hopes of survival on the First Supreme Elder. However, it was destined that their pleas for help were meaningless. The reason for that was because even though the first utmost exalted elder had heard their cries for help, and even though he had wanted to withdraw himself to help them, he was unable to do so. However, the First Supreme Elder was powerless to protect himself. At this moment, the First Supreme Elder was beaten up by Yin Liang until he could not speak. He was also covering his head and running away like a rat. If there were no accidents, it was simply a matter of time before First Supreme Elder died in Yin Liang's hands. I can't accept this. I don't want to die. In the end, the Third Supreme Elder and the Second Supreme Elder still didn't receive help from the First Supreme Elder. They were all unwilling to accept this outcome. Seeing the Second Supreme Elder and the Third Supreme Elder struggling and being swallowed by the light spots, Yi Hao remained indifferent. After all, in this kind of situation, it was either you die or I die. If he didn't kill them, they would still kill him. Just like this time, if he didn't kill the Black Sword sect, the Black Sword sect would definitely go to the Tianyuan kingdom to find trouble with him. At that time, the Black Sword sect would inevitably bully the citizens of the Tianyuan kingdom. Thus, rather than that, he might as well take the initiative and destroy the Black Sword sect. Ding dong. Congratulations to the host for killing a rank 8 Atman body powerhouse. Congratulations to the host for obtaining 800,000 experience points. Ding dong. Congratulations to the host for obtaining an Atman body demonic crystal cannon. Ding dong. Congratulations to the host for obtaining 3 Atman body leveling pills. Ding dong. Congratulations to the host for killing a rank 8 Atman body powerhouse. Congratulations to the host for obtaining 800,000 experience points. Ding dong. Congratulations to the host for obtaining an Atman body demonic crystal cannon. Ding dong. Congratulations to the host for obtaining 2 Atman body leveling pills. Hee, the reward is not bad. When Yi Hao heard the rewards from his system, he couldn't help but nod his head in satisfaction. But in the next second, Yi Hao's eyes lit up as he looked at the first Supreme Elder. After all, this was a spirit martial realm powerhouse, the big boss of the Black Sword sect. Yin Liang, hurry up and beat him up, Yi Hao hurriedly urged Yin Liang. After all, the card that Yin Liang used had a time limit. Now that Yin Liang and the first Supreme Elder were fighting, more than half of the card's time had passed. Therefore, Yi Hao was worried that if Yin Liang was careless and let the card's time pass, the first Supreme Elder would turn the situation around or let the first Supreme Elder escape. That would be bad luck. This general obeys the order. When Yin Liang heard Yi Hao's words, he also turned around to look. He didn't know if he didn't look, but when he saw it, he was shocked. Due to the fact that he was focused on fighting the first Supreme Elder, the first Supreme Elder didn't dare to do anything to him. Although he also heard the sound of the demonic crystal cannon, he didn't have time to look. Now that he looked at it, Yi Hao was the only one left in the entire Black Sword sect. He never thought that before he could take down the first Supreme Elder, Yi Hao had already. The entire Black Sword sect was annihilated. In your majesty, why do you have so many demonic crystal cannons? When Yin Liang saw the 4 demonic crystal cannons beside Yi Hao, he was also shocked. He originally thought that Yi Hao only had 1 demonic crystal cannon. He never thought that Yi Hao would have so many powerful demonic crystal cannons. Go to hell. Yin Liang was also deeply shocked. After all, Yi Hao had already taken care of the Black Sword sect, but he hadn't even taken care of the first Supreme Elder. Therefore, at this moment, Yin Liang also gave it his all and attacked the first Supreme Elder. Where it's possible to let people off, one should spare them. Sir, please let me go. This matter will end here. The first Supreme Elder saw that he was the only one left in the Black Sword sect. Therefore, he couldn't care less about his dignity and hurriedly begged Yin Liang for mercy. I can't make the decision on this matter. I'm following orders. Hearing the first Supreme Elder's words, Yin Liang didn't show any mercy. Chapter 1045. Today, I will kill all of you, Yi Hao replied sternly. After all, the weeds would grow again when the spring breeze blew. Moreover, this was a big boss like the first Supreme Elder. Yi Hao would only let the first Supreme Elder off if his brain was damaged. If he really let the first Supreme Elder off, he would be releasing a tiger back in the mountains. There would be endless trouble in the future. Bastard, you are really vicious. The first Supreme Elder cursed angrily when he heard Yi Hao's words. You still dare to spout such arrogant words? Die. Hearing that the first Supreme Elder dared to insult Yi Hao, he immediately flew into a rage. The weapon in Yin Liang's hand was aimed directly at the first Supreme Elder's vitals. The first Supreme Elder knew that he was no match for Yi Hao and wanted to retreat. However, it was clear that Yin Liang had anticipated this. Thus, Yin Liang instantly blocked the first Supreme Elder's path of retreat. Seeing that there was no way out for him, the first Supreme Elder's complexion changed. His expression turned extremely ugly. However, the first Supreme Elder was obviously unwilling to let Yin Liang hit him. He had no choice but to use his large saber to block. Bang! The collision of the weapons produced an ear-piercing metallic sound. It was obvious that the first Supreme Elder was not as strong as Yin Liang. Yin Liang stood still on the spot, while the first Supreme Elder retreated a few steps. The large saber in his hand almost fell out of his hand. Yin Liang would not let go of this opportunity and immediately followed up with another attack. Bang! Their weapons collided once again. The powerful spiritual energies emitted by the two of them intertwined and collided together. Yin Liang became more and more courageous as the fight went on. He already had the upper hand. On the other hand, the first Supreme Elder was completely at a disadvantage. Cripple him! Yin Liang seized the opportunity and roared as he attacked the first Supreme Elder's head. However, it was clear that the Supreme First Elder was not that easy to strike. He hurriedly retreated and raised his right arm to block Yin Liang's attack with his weapon. Yin Liang was not flustered when he saw this. Instead, he was overjoyed. A sinister smile appeared on his face. The first Supreme Elder also sensed that something was wrong. However, it was clearly too late. Yin Liang's weapon that was about to attack his head suddenly shifted downwards. If it wasn't his raised right hand, then what was it? Puchi! With a pu-si sound, Yin Liang's weapon directly sent the first Supreme Elder's right arm flying. Hiss! It hurts! The first Supreme Elder couldn't help but roar when he felt the excruciating pain from his severed arm. However, Yin Liang would not give up on attacking him just because of his roar. After Yin Liang cut off the first Supreme Elder's right hand, the first Supreme Elder was stunned. Then, he quickly crippled the first Supreme Elder's left hand. At this moment, the first Supreme Elder was completely crippled. I'm going to kill you all. I'm going to kill you all. The first Supreme Elder muttered incessantly, as if he had gone mad. Your Majesty, Yin Liang did not disappoint you. I have crippled him. After crippling the first Supreme Elder's arms, Yin Liang proceeded to cripple the first Supreme Elder's legs. Yin Liang was afraid that the first Supreme Elder would run away. If that happened, all his efforts would be in vain. Seeing that the first Supreme Elder was crippled, Yihao put away the demonic crystal cannon and walked towards the first Supreme Elder. No, I beg you, please don't kill me. Although his limbs were crippled, the first Supreme Elder was still unwilling to die. He couldn't help but open his mouth and beg for mercy. It's useless to beg for mercy now. Looking at the first Supreme Elder's appearance, Yihao didn't mind and directly gave him a quick and painless death. Puchi! Yihao directly raised his long sword and directly pierced the first Supreme Elder's throat. The first Supreme Elder's eyes widened unwillingly. It was obvious that he didn't want to die. Ding dong! Congratulations to the host for killing a rank 2 spiritual martial realm powerhouse. Ding dong! Congratulations to the host for obtaining 2 million experience points. Ding dong! Congratulations to the host for obtaining a spiritual martial realm level up elixir. Ding dong! Congratulations to the host for obtaining a spiritual martial weapon. Ding dong! Congratulations to the host for obtaining 10 Atman body level up elixirs. Ding dong! Congratulations to the host for obtaining 10 Atman body demonic crystal cannons. Ding dong! Congratulations to the host for obtaining a spiritual martial realm general. 1 chance to summon. Ding dong! Congratulations to the host for obtaining a large amount of spiritual stones. Ding dong! Congratulations to the host for obtaining a large amount of spiritual stones. Damn, as expected of a big boss, this is a huge reward. Even though Yi Hao was already prepared, when he heard the system's rewards in his mind, he was somewhat excited. Just for these rewards, it was worth it to destroy the Black Sword sect today. However, Yi Hao didn't immediately leave. Where was this? This was the Black Sword sect. What this place didn't lack the least was cultivation resources. Naturally, he wouldn't let go of these good things. After all, he was now the ruler of a country. When he saw things that were useful to the country, he had to consider for the country. This place is hidden quite well. Yi Hao searched for a long time before he found the location of the Black Sword Sect's resources. Damn, this Black Sword Sect is quite rich. Yi Hao looked at the huge warehouse in front of him. It was even more valuable than the treasury of the Tianyuan kingdom. After all, after ascending the throne, Yi Hao also went to see the Tianyuan kingdom's treasury. However, compared to the Black Sword Sect's warehouse in front of him, it was simply nothing. Whether it was the pills, weapons, piles of spiritual stones or spiritual coins, or some treasures, they were all far superior to the Tianyuan kingdom. This also proved the Black Sword Sect's foundation. This was the best explanation of why a sect could look down on so many countries. After all, the resources of a country couldn't compare to the resources of a sect. This proved how sad the country was. But the good thing was that everything in the warehouse was now his. Yi Hao naturally wouldn't be polite and directly swept away everything in the warehouse. No matter what it was, whether it was valuable or not, Yi Hao wouldn't let it go. Everything was stored in the system space. Just this warehouse alone took Yi Hao more than 2 hours. Yi Hao was tired, but happy at the same time. In the end, Yi Hao didn't even leave a strand of hair in the entire warehouse. "Your Majesty, we've discovered another warehouse." Yan Liang suddenly shouted excitedly at this moment. "What? Another warehouse?" Hearing Yan Liang's words, Yi Hao was shocked at first, but then he was delighted. After all, everything in the Black Sword Sect was now his. Of course, the more, the better. However, what he did not expect was that the items in this warehouse were enough to shock him. The Black Sword Sect actually had more than one warehouse. Chapter 1046. Oh my God, just how powerful is this Black Sword Sect? Even though Yi Hao had already looted an entire warehouse, he was already prepared. However, when he saw the warehouse in front of him, he couldn't help but be shocked. This was because the warehouse in front of him wasn't any smaller than the previous one, and there were even more things inside than the previous warehouse. The things inside were also more abundant. Naturally, Yi Hao wouldn't let go of these things. Once again, he acted like a diligent bee, harvesting the fruits of victory. Yi Hao suddenly had a feeling that exterminating a sect would give him more resources than exterminating a country. Just like destroying the Broken Kingdom, the amount of resources collected back then wasn't as much as this. He estimated that it would only be 1/3 of the warehouse in front of him. And this was just one warehouse. Yi Hao spent more than 2 hours to loot the warehouse in front of him. And while he was still looting this warehouse, Yan Liang actually found 2 more warehouses. Yi Hao naturally didn't refuse and immediately rushed to the next warehouse. And this warehouse, compared to the previous one, did indeed look a lot smaller. But the resources inside were still huge. Yi Hao spent more than an hour to loot the warehouse in front of him. Yan Liang was simply stunned when he saw this scene. He wondered if Yi Hao's spatial ring was a bottomless pit. It was too good at storing things. If it were his spatial ring, even if he had 100 of them, he wouldn't be able to store all the things in one warehouse. Under Yan Liang's shocked gaze, Yi Hao immediately went to the next warehouse. Under Yan Liang's shocked gaze, one warehouse. Oh my God, just how powerful is this Black Sword Sect? Even though Yi Hao had already looted an entire warehouse, he was already prepared. But when he saw the warehouse in front of him, he couldn't help but be shocked, because the warehouse in front of him wasn't any smaller than the previous one. And the things inside were even more than the previous warehouse. The things inside were also more abundant. Yi Hao naturally wouldn't let go of these things. He once again became a hard-working bee, harvesting the fruits of victory. Yi Hao suddenly had a feeling that exterminating a sect would give him more resources than exterminating a country. It was just like how the resources that Zhang Xian had collected back then weren't as much as what he had collected now. He estimated that it could only match up to 1/3 of the warehouse in front of him. And it was just a warehouse. It took Yi Hao another 2 hours to clear out the entire warehouse. While he was still in the process of seizing the warehouse, Yan Liang actually found 2 more warehouses. Yi Hao naturally did not reject anyone and immediately rushed to the next warehouse. Compared to the previous storage units, this storage unit was indeed much smaller. However, the resources inside were still enormous. Yi Hao spent more than an hour to clear out the warehouse in front of him. When Yin Liang saw this scene, he was simply stunned. He even wondered if Yi Hao's spatial ring was a bottomless pit. It was too good at storing things. If it were his spatial ring, even if he had 100 of them, he wouldn't be able to store all the things in one warehouse. Under Yin Liang's shocked gaze, Yi Hao immediately went to the next warehouse. Under Yin Liang's shocked gaze, one warehouse. Oh my God, how powerful is this black sword sect? Even though Yi Hao had already looted the entire warehouse, he was already prepared. However, when he saw the warehouse in front of him, he couldn't help but be shocked, because the warehouse in front of him wasn't any smaller than the previous one, and the things inside were even more than the previous warehouse. The things inside were also more abundant. Naturally, Yi Hao wouldn't let go of these things. He once again became a hard-working bee, harvesting the fruits of victory. Yi Hao suddenly had a feeling that exterminating a sect would give him more resources than exterminating a country. Just like when he destroyed Duan Kingdom, the resources that he collected back then weren't as much as what he had now. He estimated that it would only match up to 1/3 of the warehouse in front of him. And it was just one warehouse. Yi Hao spent more than 2 hours to loot the warehouse in front of him. And while he was still looting this warehouse, Yin Liang actually found 2 more warehouses. Yi Hao naturally didn't refuse and immediately went to the next warehouse. And compared to the previous warehouse, this one did indeed look a lot smaller. But the resources inside were still huge. Yi Hao spent more than an hour to loot the warehouse in front of him. Yin Liang was simply stunned when he saw this scene. He even wondered if Yi Hao's spatial ring was a bottomless pit. It was too good at storing things. If it were his spatial ring, even if he had 100 of them, he wouldn't be able to store all the things in one warehouse. Under Yin Liang's shocked gaze, Yi Hao immediately went to the next warehouse. Under Yin Liang's shocked gaze, one warehouse. Oh my God, this black sword sect, how powerful is it? Even though Yi Hao had already looted the warehouse, he was already prepared. But when he saw the warehouse in front of him, he couldn't help but be shocked, because the warehouse in front of him wasn't any smaller than the previous one, and the things inside were even more than the previous warehouse. The things inside were also more abundant. Yi Hao naturally wouldn't let go of these things. Once again, he acted like a hard-working bee, harvesting the fruits of victory. Yi Hao suddenly had a feeling that exterminating a sect would give him more resources than exterminating a country. Just like when he destroyed Duan Kingdom, the resources that he collected back then weren't as much as the current one. It was estimated that it could only match up to 1/3 of the warehouse in front of him. And it was just one warehouse. Yi Hao spent more than 2 hours to loot the warehouse in front of him. And while he was still looting this warehouse, Yin Liang actually found 2 more warehouses. Yi Hao naturally didn't refuse and immediately went to the next warehouse. And compared to the previous warehouse, this one indeed looked a lot smaller. But the resources inside were still huge. Yi Hao spent more than an hour to loot the warehouse in front of him. Yin Liang was simply stunned when he saw this scene. He even wondered if Yi Hao's spatial ring was a bottomless pit. It was too good at storing things. If it were his spatial ring, even if he had 100 of them, he wouldn't be able to store all the things in one warehouse. Under Yin Liang's shocked gaze, Yi Hao immediately went to the next warehouse. Chapter 10:47. All the officials present did not believe that the people who attacked the Drifting Cloud Imperial City were not from the Tianyuan Kingdom. At this moment, a guard hurriedly ran into the main hall and shouted, "Your Majesty, the enemy has already entered the palace." What? So fast? Everyone's expression changed when they heard the guard's words. Who are you?" In the direction of the southern palace gate, a rough man looked at Zhao Yun and asked warily, "I am Zhao Zilong. Watch out for my spear." Zhao Yun was too lazy to talk to the man. After all, every minute and second was precious. After all, whoever killed the Drifting Cloud Emperor first would be able to obtain the elixir and become a level 10 Atman body expert. "Do you think I'm afraid of you?" The rough man was obviously not afraid of Zhao Yun. After all, as a guard of the palace, how could his strength be weak? The boorish man swung an axe the size of an arched door at Zhao Yun. "Go, General! General, kill him! Kill him! Kill him!" A group of guards saw the rough man attack. One by one, they roared excitedly. Obviously, the rough man had a lot of prestige among the crowd. Insignificant skill. Looking at the rough man, the huge axe in his hand carried a violent wind sound. Zhao Yun snorted disdainfully. The silver spear in his hand was like a silver lightning bolt, directly breaking through the rough man's axe and piercing through his head. Seeing this scene, countless people fiercely sucked in a breath of cold air. The whole scene instantly became quiet. Countless people looked at Zhao Yun with deep fear in their eyes. Zhao Yun's spear tip was stuck in the rough man's head, but the rough man was standing on the spot, holding the huge axe in his hand. He still looked like he was going to attack. In the rough man's eyes, there was only fear and disbelief left. Bang! A loud sound rang out. The huge axe in the rough man's hand fell to the ground, smashing a big hole. "Not good, one. Run for your lives. The general has been killed. Run." In an instant, countless guards reacted and immediately began to flee in all directions. After all, they were well aware of the boorish man's strength. Even the boorish man was instantly defeated by Zhao Yun in one move. Then, they couldn't even be considered trash. Plop! Zhao Yun withdrew the long spear in his hand, and the boorish man's corpse fell to the ground. Zhao Yun did not chase after the escaping guard because his goal was to kill the Flowing Cloud Emperor and obtain Yi Hao's reward. Zhao Yun glanced at the central area of the Flowing Cloud Imperial Palace and immediately rushed over. "Shoot the arrows! Hurry up and shoot the arrows!" Zhao Yun quickly arrived at the entrance of the Second Dao Palace. This time, the guards were much smarter and more cautious. None of them dared to rush out. Only the panicked shouts of the defending generals could be heard on the city walls. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. In an instant, hundreds and thousands of arrows pressed down on Zhao Yun. Oomph. Zhao Yun once again coldly snorted and brandished the silver spear in his hand. A huge spear phantom instantly swept towards the arrow. Ping, 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 ping. Countless arrows, under the attack of the spear phantom, were shot back at the city walls with even more ferocious force and speed. "Ah, this is bad. Run. Save us, run. Run." In an instant, the soldiers on the city walls began to panic and began to flee in all directions. Poochie, Poochie, Poochie. However, it was clear that their fleeing speed was not as fast as the arrows. In an instant, countless soldiers were shot through by the arrows. Bang! Zhao Yun deflected all the arrows and leaped forward. The long spear in his hand directly shot out. The long spear struck the city gates, and in an instant, the city gates were shattered. The huge impact caused the gates to shatter into pieces. Zhao Yun continued to charge forward. "This is too freakish, too freakish." Countless guards saw Zhao Yun, and they all retreated. This was because in their eyes, the palace's defenses were absolutely impregnable. Normally, even a fly would not be able to fly in. However, such a strong defense was like walking on flat ground in front of Zhao Yun. There was no obstruction at all. Quickly, activate the formation. Just as Zhao Yun passed through the second city gate, a shout suddenly rang out. Boom! Immediately, the scenery around Zhao Yun changed drastically. A storm raged as countless arrows and demonic beasts attacked Zhao Yun. Ha! Who would have thought that this kid would walk right into the trap? Humph! As long as this brat is trapped in the formation, I refuse to believe that he'll be able to escape. I reckon that this kid is most likely going to die in the formation. But you don't say. This kid is really powerful. That's right. Look at how strong the defense of the city gate is. It was actually shattered with a single attack from him. However, do you all think that the formation won't be able to trap that kid? That's impossible. This formation will not be activated unless it's absolutely necessary. Furthermore, every time it's activated, no one has ever been able to escape alive. Countless guards looked at the array in front of them and thought with lingering fear. Of course, in their eyes, this extremely powerful formation was simply incomparable to Yi Hao's 100-changing heavenly gate formation. Disregarding everything else, just the area it covered. Yi Hao's 100-changing heavenly gate formation was countless times larger than this formation. After all, Yi Hao's 100-changing heavenly gate formation could cover the entire imperial city. As for the formation before them, it only covered an area of close to 100 square meters. When Zhao Yun saw the formation appear, he snorted coldly and said, "All formations are useless in the face of strength." Powerful spiritual energy immediately surged out from his body. The appearance of the powerful spiritual energy actually caused the entire formation to tremble. The arrows and demonic bee silhouettes actually weakened quite a bit. What's going on? Although the soldiers outside the formation couldn't see what was happening within the formation, they could clearly see that it was happening. However, he could still see that there were some changes in the formation. Immediately, countless people stared at the formation in confusion. They wanted to see clearly what was happening within the formation. That kid can't be trying to break this formation, right? I don't think so. He can't be that powerful. If this formation is destroyed by him, then who in our flowing cloud kingdom can stop him? I heard that this kid isn't the only one attacking our flowing cloud palace. There are 4 other people. The situation in those directions isn't looking good either. What should we do now? Chapter 1048. Break for me. While all of the soldiers were still discussing the array formation, Zhao Yun's roar suddenly rang out. Bang! Suddenly, an explosion sounded out and the formation quickly dissipated. Zhao Yun was still standing there, completely unharmed. The spear in his hand was still in the middle of thrusting out. He actually broke the array. Everyone looked at the scene in front of them in shock. At this moment, everyone was so shocked that they forgot to run away. Zhao Yun swept his gaze over the stunned soldiers. There was simply no time to waste. After all, the main hall of the Flowing Cloud Kingdom was right in front of him. According to Zhao Yun's calculations, if he guessed correctly, the Emperor of the Flowing Cloud Kingdom should be in the main hall. Aside from the main hall, the Emperor of the Flowing Cloud Kingdom had nowhere to run. He believed that the other 4 would not let the Emperor of the Flowing Cloud Kingdom go. Your Majesty, I will definitely win this bet, Zhao Yun said confidently and continued to rush toward the main hall. What should we do now? Seeing Zhao Yun rush toward the main hall, the remaining soldiers looked at each other in dismay. Looking at Zhao Yun's departing figure, their eyes were filled with fear. At this moment, they did not know whether to run or continue to chase after Zhao Yun. The group of soldiers was completely stunned. Kill him. Protect your Majesty with your life. Don't let him get close to the main hall. When the elder arrived at the square in front of the main hall, he was blocked by nearly 10,000 soldiers. At this moment, these soldiers all pulled out their weapons and stared at Zhao Yun with a serious expression. The atmosphere instantly froze. Kill! Zhao Yun bellowed. His blood began to boil. The spear in his hand moved, and he rushed forward. Zhao Yun was like a killing machine. In an instant, several soldiers were sent flying. Zhao Yun tore open a small hole in the originally tight human wall in an instant. However, the Flowing Cloud Kingdom had the advantage of numbers. They instantly surrounded Zhao Yun. Not good, Your Majesty. The enemy is in front of the main hall, an official said with a trembling voice. When the officials in the hall heard the battle cries outside the hall, they all had worried looks on their faces. Your Majesty, what should we do now? Your Majesty, you should leave this place first. Your Majesty, you can't stay here any longer. This place is simply too dangerous. When the officials heard the increasingly intense battle cries, they all anxiously advised the Drifting Cloud Emperor. What's there to be afraid of? Come with me. Let's see who dares to challenge my Flowing Cloud Emperor's authority. At this moment, the Drifting Cloud Emperor also stood up angrily. Ignoring the dissuasion of the crowd, he walked out of the palace. Your Majesty, you can't. Danger, Your Majesty. Seeing the Drifting Cloud Emperor's actions, the minister immediately said anxiously. However, The drifting cloud emperor completely ignored their words. Although everyone was worried and anxious, they had no choice but to follow. After all, even the emperor had left. How could they, as subjects, hide in the main hall? Oh my God, who the hell is this guy? He's way too strong. This strength is definitely not just at the Devil Emperor level. I knew it. How did he get here so quickly? He's really too strong. Break for me. While all of the soldiers were still discussing the array formation, Zhao Yun's roar suddenly rang out. Bang! Suddenly, there was an explosion. The formation quickly dissipated, and Zhao Yun stood there unscathed. The spear in his hand was still in the motion of thrusting it out. He actually broke the array. Everyone looked at the scene in front of them in shock. At this moment, everyone was so shocked that they actually forgot to run. Zhao Yun glanced at the stunned soldiers. There was simply no time to waste. After all, the Drifting Cloud Kingdom's main hall was right before them. According to Zhao Yun's calculations, if he guessed correctly, the Drifting Cloud Kingdom's emperor was currently in the main hall. This was because other than the main hall, the Drifting Cloud Kingdom's emperor had nowhere to run. He believed that the other 4 people would definitely not let the Drifting Cloud Kingdom's emperor go. Your Majesty, I'll definitely win this bet. After Zhao Yun said confidently, he continued to rush toward the main hall. What should we do now? Seeing Zhao Yun rush toward the main hall, the remaining soldiers looked at each other in dismay. Looking at Zhao Yun's departing figure, their eyes were filled with fear. At this moment, they did not know whether to run or continue to chase after Zhao Yun. The group of soldiers was completely stunned. Kill him. Protect His Majesty with our lives. Don't let him even half a step closer to the main hall. Just as the elder arrived at the square in front of the main hall, he was blocked by nearly 10,000 soldiers. At this moment, these soldiers all drew their weapons and stared at Zhao Yun with a serious expression. The atmosphere of the entire place instantly froze. Kill! Zhao Yun roared. His entire body was burning with hot blood. The spear in his hand moved, and he instantly rushed forward. Zhao Yun was like a killing machine. In an instant, several soldiers were sent flying. Zhao Yun tore open a small hole in the originally tight human wall in an instant. But alas, the Flowing Cloud Kingdom had the advantage of numbers. They instantly surrounded Zhao Yun. Not good, Your Majesty. The enemy is already in front of the main hall, an official said in a trembling voice. When the officials in the main hall heard the battle cries outside the main hall, they all looked worried. Your Majesty, what should we do now? Your Majesty, you should leave this place first. Your Majesty, you can't stay here any longer. This place is simply too dangerous. When the officials heard the battle cries growing louder and louder, they all anxiously advised the Flowing Cloud Emperor. What's there to be afraid of? Come with me and see who dares to challenge the might of the Flowing Cloud Kingdom. At this moment, the Flowing Cloud Emperor stood up angrily. Ignoring the dissuasion of the crowd, he walked out of the main hall. Your Majesty, you can't. It's dangerous, Your Majesty. Seeing the Flowing Cloud Emperor's actions, the important officials immediately said anxiously. However, the Flowing Cloud Emperor did not pay attention to their words. Although the officials were worried and anxious, they had no choice but to follow the Flowing Cloud Emperor. After all, even the Flowing Cloud Emperor had gone out. As officials, how could they hide in the main hall? Heavens, who is this person? He's too strong. This strength is definitely not at the level of a demon emperor. Chapter 1049. What do you mean? Your Majesty, are you saying that our Drift Cloud Kingdom still has experts? How is that possible? Why have we never heard of this before? Hearing the Drift Cloud Emperor's words, everyone was stunned and looked at him in confusion. However, Sun Shangxiang and Huang Zhong ignored him. After taking aim, they shot their arrows directly at the Drift Cloud Emperor. Whoosh, whoosh. 2 piercing sounds rang out at almost the same time. With a sharp, cold light, they shot toward the Drift Cloud Emperor. Your Majesty, be careful. Seeing the two arrows flying toward him, hundreds of officials immediately cried out anxiously. Seeing the two arrows, the Drift Cloud Emperor shouted calmly, "Ancestor, save me!" Boom! Boom! Suddenly, two figures rushed out from behind the Great Hall and blocked the Drift Cloud Emperor. They reached out and grabbed the arrows. Who are these two? I don't think I've seen or heard of them before. From what Your Majesty said just now, these two seem to be the ancestor of our Drift Cloud Kingdom. A group of people behind the Drift Cloud Emperor looked at the two people who suddenly appeared and discussed curiously. "Greetings, ancestor." The Drift Cloud Emperor bowed respectfully to the yellow-robed old man in front of him. "Greetings, Your Majesty." After bowing to the ancestor, the Drift Cloud Emperor bowed to the person beside him. It was obvious that the Drift Cloud Emperor did not recognize the person beside the ancestor. Seeing the Drift Cloud Emperor's confused gaze, the ancestor explained, "This is someone from the Fire Beacon Empire. He's a good friend of mine." "What? Someone from the Fire Beacon Empire?" Hearing the ancestor's words, the Drift Cloud Emperor was shocked. "Oh my God, I'm not dreaming, am I? I didn't expect Your Majesty to hide it from us for so long. Who would have thought that the ancestor of our Drift Cloud Kingdom is still alive? Who would have thought that the ancestor of our Drift Cloud Kingdom is friends with someone from the Fire Beacon Empire? This is simply too unbelievable, too unbelievable. With the ancestor and this expert, we're probably saved this time." The group of people immediately became excited when they saw the two people appear. They don't have good intentions. Looking at the two people who suddenly appeared, Sun Shangxiang and Huang Zhong also looked at each other. Apart from Sun Shangxiang and Huang Zhong, the other three also noticed the changes in this place. However, the massacre in their hands did not slow down in the slightest. Instead, it sped up quite a bit. What happened here? Who are these people? The Flowing Cloud Ancestor frowned and asked the Flowing Cloud Emperor, "Old Ancestor, this group of people came out of nowhere and killed their way here. We don't even know who they are." The Drift Cloud Emperor said with a bitter face, "What a useless thing. The enemy has already arrived before you, yet you still don't know who the enemy is?" The Flowing Cloud Ancestor took a dissatisfied glance at the Flowing Cloud Emperor. Hearing the words of the Drifting Cloud Ancestor, the Drifting Cloud Emperor lowered his head in shame, even though he was the Emperor, a supreme existence. But in front of the old ancestor, he still had to be well-behaved and did not dare to mess around in the slightest. Moreover, this was indeed his fault. Zhao Yun and the other four had already fought their way here, yet he still did not know who they were. "Who are you?" The Flowing Cloud Ancestor looked at Zhao Yun and the others and roared, "I am Zhao Zilong from the Tianyuan Kingdom." Zhao Yun said fearlessly as he killed his enemies. "I am Guan Yu from the Tianyuan Kingdom. I am Ranmin from the Tianyuan Kingdom. I am Huang Zhong from the Tianyuan Kingdom. I am Sun Shangxiang from the Tianyuan Kingdom." As soon as Zhao Yun finished speaking, the other four people's voices rang out at the same time. "What? How is this possible? Oh my God, did I hear wrongly? They actually said that they are from the Tianyuan Kingdom? With the strength of the Tianyuan Kingdom, how could they have so many experts?" Hearing the words of the five people, the ministers of the Flowing Cloud Kingdom were all shocked. Who is the new emperor of the Tianyuan Kingdom? How could he have so many experts under him? Hearing the words of Zhao Yun and the others, the Drifting Cloud Emperor's face was filled with shock. After all, he was very clear about the strength of the Tianyuan Kingdom in the past. The spiritual energy emitted by the people in front of him indicated that they were Atman Body Realm experts. However, in the past, not to mention Atman Body Realm experts, there were only a handful of Demon Emperor Realm experts in the Tianyuan Kingdom. There was probably not even a fifth-order Demon Emperor Realm expert in the Tianyuan Kingdom. This was also the reason why he did not put the Tianyuan Kingdom in his eyes. In his eyes, the Tianyuan Kingdom's envoy was too weak. However, now that the Tianyuan Kingdom had suddenly appeared, he did not even need to think to know that these people were related to Yi Hao. Therefore, at this moment, he was very curious about Yi Hao's identity and background. However, seeing that Yi Hao had so many experts under him, he could tell that Yi Hao's identity was definitely not ordinary. Otherwise, how could Yi Hao have so many powerful subordinates? Huh? The Tianyuan kingdom? Didn't I remember that they became very weak? When did they become so strong again? Hearing the identity of Zhao Yun and the others, the flowing cloud ancestor frowned. Old ancestor, you don't know. Recently, a new emperor ascended to the throne in the Tianyuan kingdom. I think these people are his people. Seeing the confused look on the flowing cloud ancestor's face, the flowing cloud emperor quickly explained. The new emperor of the Tianyuan kingdom? He seems very strong. I didn't expect the Zhao royal family to rise again. Hearing the flowing cloud emperor's words, the flowing cloud ancestor frowned, and a trace of worry appeared on his face. Old ancestor, you're mistaken. The new emperor of the Tianyuan kingdom is not from the Zhao royal family. What? Not from the Zhao royal family? How is that possible? Could it be that the Zhao royal family was forced to give up their throne? Hearing the flowing cloud emperor's words, the flowing cloud ancestor guessed. No, it was Emperor Tianyuan who voluntarily gave up the throne and announced it to the world. The flowing cloud emperor said truthfully. How is that possible? Could it be that Emperor Tianyuan's brain is damaged? How could he voluntarily give up the throne to an outsider? Hearing that Emperor Tianyuan actually gave up the throne to an outsider like Yi Hao, even the flowing cloud ancestor was shocked. This matter has puzzled me, but it is true that the abdication of the throne was completed. The flowing cloud emperor said patiently. In fact, it was the first time the flowing cloud ancestor heard this and was in disbelief. Chapter 1050. However, from the looks of it, Yi Hao was indeed outstanding. Putting everything else aside, the fact that Yi Hao could defeat 5 people and even fight his way to the Drift Cloud Kingdom's palace was enough to make him admire Yi Hao. Old ancestor, please act quickly. The people they killed are the backbone of our Drift Cloud Kingdom. Looking at the large group of people who were unable to fight back against Zhao Yun and the others, the Drift Cloud Kingdom's emperor felt his heart ache. He felt as if his heart was being sliced by a knife, and it was bleeding nonstop. The Drift Cloud Kingdom's emperor couldn't stand it anymore and urged the Drift Cloud ancestor. I don't care who you are. How dare you fight your way to the Drift Cloud Kingdom's palace? You're bullying us because we don't have any experts. Today, I'll make you pay for your ignorance. None of you can leave the Drift Cloud Kingdom alive. The Drift Cloud ancestor's eyes shone with a cold light. Hearing the Drift Cloud ancestor's arrogant words, no one dared to refute. Even the Drift Cloud Kingdom's emperor didn't say anything. It was because they thought the Drift Cloud ancestor had the strength to do so. Brother you, I've embarrassed you today. The Drift Cloud ancestor said to the old man beside him, and then charged towards Zhao Yun. The Drift Cloud ancestor's strength of the second level of the Atman body realm was on the verge of exploding. Even though there were many Drift Cloud Kingdom's guards in the square, the Drift Cloud ancestor didn't bother waiting for them to retreat. The berserk energy on his body instantly sent countless people flying. The ancestor is so strong. The ancestor's strength doesn't seem to be any weaker than those people. Ha ha! The ancestor is indeed the ancestor. His strength is extraordinary. Looks like we're all saved this time. Looking at the Drift Cloud ancestor, countless people couldn't help but exclaim when they saw the powerful spiritual energy that was emitted from him. Excited smiles appeared on their faces, as if they could already see the scene of the Drift Cloud ancestor killing Zhao Yun and the others. Good timing. When Zhao Yun saw the Drift Cloud ancestor charging towards him, he immediately revealed an excited smile. At this moment, Zhao Yun's battle intent was boiling. Zhao Yun was completely fearless. The long spear in his hand blasted towards the Drift Cloud ancestor. Boom! In an instant, the two attacks collided. It appeared that the two of them were equally matched. To think that a level 1 Atman body cultivator would be so powerful. Sensing the power coming from Zhao Yun's spear, flowing cloud ancestor's heart sank. This old man doesn't seem to be using his full strength. Zhao Yun looked at the drifting cloud ancestor with a solemn expression. You dog, I'm going to use all my strength this time. Prepare to die. This time, ancestor flowing clouds, killing intent surged, and an even more powerful spiritual energy spread all over his body. Come and help me. I'm no match for him. Zhao Yun naturally wouldn't be careless in this situation. He immediately shouted, "Ha, Marshal Zhao, let me help you." Old K laughed and rushed toward Zhao Yun. Looking at Ran Min, who was rushing over, flowing cloud ancestor frowned again. The reason for that was because he knew very well that if he were to unleash his full strength, it would not be an issue for him to directly kill Zhao Yun. But now that Ran Min had joined the fray, he had no way to quickly kill Zhao Yun. When the time came, he would have to deal with them one by one. Seeing that he couldn't achieve his goal, flowing cloud ancestor could only helplessly shout, "Brother Yu, help me. Coming." The old man with the surname Yu jumped out when he heard flowing cloud ancestor's words. At the same time, the old man with the surname Yu's level 2 Atman body strength was also revealed. But if one were to observe carefully, one would be able to tell that the old man with the surname Yu's aura was much stronger than flowing cloud ancestor's aura. "Brother Yu, help me block those two dogs. Watch how I kill him." Flowing cloud ancestor directly signaled to the old man with the surname Yu to hold back Guan Yu and Ran Min so that he would have a chance to kill Zhao Yun first. If he could kill Zhao Yun, then Guan Yu and the others would be easier to deal with. In his opinion, since he couldn't kill Zhao Yun and the others in one fell swoop, then he would have to fight to the death. "Don't worry. Leave it to me." The old man with the surname Yu confidently guaranteed after hearing flowing cloud ancestor's words. After the old man with the surname Yu finished speaking, he immediately took out his weapon and attacked Ran Min. Seeing the old man with the surname Yu attacking Ran Min, Zhao Yun immediately became anxious. He also understood that flowing cloud ancestor's intention was to kill them one by one. But if Ran Min was really held back, then although he wouldn't be so weak, he definitely wouldn't be able to kill flowing cloud ancestor. So when he saw this, how could he not be anxious? "Don't worry, leave him to me. Hurry up and kill that old man." Just when Zhao Yun was anxious and Ran Min was about to deal with the old man with the surname Yu, Guan Yu suddenly charged over and instantly blocked the old man with the surname Yu. Seeing this scene, Zhao Yun and Ran Min immediately let out a sigh of relief. "You're courting death." Seeing Guan Yu suddenly appear out of nowhere, the old man with the surname Yu's face was filled with displeasure. He immediately roared and charged towards Guan Yu. "Kill!" Zhao Yun and Ran Min looked at each other and quickly attacked the flowing cloud ancestor. Seeing this scene, the flowing cloud ancestor's face changed again and again. Clearly, it became somewhat ugly. He didn't expect that the old man with the surname Yu would be the one to face the attacks of the two of them. The flowing cloud ancestor couldn't help but say, "Brother Yu, I'll hold them back first. I'll have to trouble you to kill that dog." The flowing cloud ancestor could only pray that the old man with the surname Yu could quickly kill Guan Yu. At that time, the two of them would separately kill Zhao Yun and Ran Min. However, he was confident that the old man with the surname Yu would kill Guan Yu. That was because the old man, surnamed Yu's strength was slightly stronger than his. But what surprised him was that the old man with the surname Yu didn't answer him, as if he didn't hear him. The battle between Guan Yu and the old man with the surname Yu was simply too intense. The old man with the surname Yu was also shocked because he could clearly feel that Guan Yu's strength was only at the first level of the Atman body realm, but he was actually on par with him. He was a second-level Atman body realm expert, and his battle strength was considered pretty good among cultivators of the same level. But Guan Yu, a first-level Atman body realm, actually forced him to use his full strength. At this point, he had no choice but to carefully target Guan Yu and attack. Therefore, he didn't have the time to go to Dali and listen to the flowing cloud ancestor's words. Chapter 1051. Upon hearing the Drift Cloud Emperor's words, the soldiers, who were at a loss for what to do, immediately charged at Zhao Yun and the other two. "Marshal Sun, Marshal Huang, I'll leave these small fries to you." Guan Yu shouted at Sun Shangxiang and Huangzhong when he saw the soldiers charging at him. "Don't worry, leave it to us. With us around, they won't be able to get close to you." Upon hearing Guan Yu's words, Sun Shangxiang and Huangzhong immediately agreed. Then, the two of them drew their bowstrings with incredible speed. In an instant, their arrows rained down like raindrops. Poochie, Poochie, Poochie. Countless arrows landed on the soldiers of the Drift Cloud Kingdom. In an instant, countless soldiers of the Drift Cloud Kingdom fell to the ground. We can't even get close to them. The archery skills of those two is simply too amazing. With them standing on the roof, won't we become living targets? Countless soldiers screamed out in panic. They couldn't even get close to Zhao Yun and the others, let alone attack them. At this moment, the soldiers could only helplessly block the arrows shot by Sun Shangxiang and Huangzhong. "Your Majesty, it seems like the soldiers can't get past them. Your Majesty, with those two on the roof, our soldiers will suffer heavy casualties. By exposing our officers and soldiers in the plaza, we'll simply become targets for those two people." A group of officials said anxiously as they looked at the soldiers falling to the ground. Hearing the anxious words of the official, the drifting Cloud Emperor knitted his brows together. To be honest, no matter how anxious the officials were, they couldn't be more anxious than he was. After all, this was his dynasty. Whether or not they could defeat Zhao Yun and the others was related to the survival of the Drift Cloud Kingdom. However, if he changed his mind and ordered the soldiers to attack Sun Shangxiang and Huangzhong first, there wouldn't be any results. Instead, the casualties would be even more severe. He knew that the Drift Cloud ancestors' goal was to defeat Zhao Yun and the others one by one. This also made him extremely shocked. He had originally thought that, as long as the old ancestor appeared, taking care of Zhao Yun and the others would not be a problem. However, what he didn't expect was that the patriarch wouldn't be able to deal with the five of them. At this moment, the old ancestor was actually at a disadvantage against Zhao Yun and Ran Min. This caused him to be extremely nervous. After all, the only hope of victory for the Flowing Cloud Kingdom was the Flowing Cloud ancestor and the old man surnamed Yu. However, at that moment, old man Yu was actually being held back by Guan Yu alone. If this continued, the Flowing Cloud ancestor would be doomed. What should I do? At this moment, the Drift Cloud Emperor felt as if 10,000 ants were gnawing at his heart. He was incomparably anxious and tormented. "Gentlemen, why don't we call a truce? My Luoyuan kingdom will give your Tianyuan kingdom some land as compensation." Right at this moment, Ancestor Flowing Cloud, who'd fallen into a disadvantageous position, spoke abruptly, because he also knew that if the fight continued, he would not be able to gain any advantage, let alone turn defeat into victory. So instead of this, it was better to compromise for the time being. At that time, he would gather sufficient strength and head to Tianyuan Kingdom to redeem himself. What? Did I hear wrongly? What did the old ancestor just say? He actually wants to give up land as compensation? Then wouldn't this be a great humiliation to our Flowing Cloud Kingdom? When the people of the Flowing Cloud Kingdom heard the Flowing Cloud ancestors' words, they were all stunned, afraid that they'd misheard. "Your Majesty, you can't do this. You can't let the old ancestor admit defeat. Giving up land as compensation to the Tianyuan Kingdom is a great humiliation to our Flowing Cloud Kingdom. Your Majesty, you can't let this happen. Otherwise, our Flowing Cloud Kingdom will become a joke." The group of officials couldn't help but look at the Flowing Cloud Emperor and advise him anxiously. Hearing the words of the officials, the Flowing Cloud Emperor roared, "All of you, shut up. The old ancestor has his own decision." He was extremely unwilling to give up land as compensation. However, he had to listen to the old ancestor's words. Moreover, the fact that the old ancestor took the initiative to say this at a time like this meant that the old ancestor's strength was truly lacking. If the old ancestor wasn't a match for the old ancestor, he wouldn't have taken the initiative to say this. Although he was unwilling, he could only listen to the old ancestor's arrangements. After all, the Flowing Cloud Emperor was the strongest person in the Flowing Cloud Kingdom. In this moment of life and death, the old ancestor had to take the lead. "All right, It's not impossible for us to call a truce. However, we have a condition, Zhao Yun said directly. Hearing Zhao Yun's words, the flowing cloud kingdom's old ancestor was clearly stunned. He didn't expect Zhao Yun to be so easy to talk to and actually agree to a truce. He had originally said this out of luck. After all, Zhao Yun and the others had the upper hand, and the right to speak was in their hands. If they didn't agree to a truce and insisted on killing him, he would have no choice but to grit his teeth and endure. However, it was best that they could stop the battle. This was because he still had a chance to take revenge. Therefore, the flowing cloud kingdom's old ancestor was delighted and hurriedly said, "Please speak. I'll agree to any request." The flowing cloud kingdom's old ancestor said very generously. To be honest, he was already prepared to pay a huge price. Because as far as he was concerned, nothing was more important than his life. More importantly, he was already prepared to repay the Tianyuan kingdom with double the price in the future. Therefore, he didn't mind Zhao Yun's request. Seeing the flowing cloud kingdom's old ancestor agree so quickly, Zhao Yun continued, "We want nothing else but the head of your flowing cloud kingdom's old ancestor. Isn't it just? What did you say? You want the head of my flowing cloud kingdom's old ancestor?" Just as the flowing cloud kingdom's old ancestor was about to agree, he suddenly reacted. The smile that had already appeared on his face instantly disappeared and was replaced by boundless fury. "You're going too far. You're toying with me," the flowing cloud kingdom's old ancestor said coldly as he looked at Zhao Yun. "They're simply going too far. They actually dare to ask for His Majesty's head. Aren't they clearly trying to humiliate our flowing cloud kingdom?" The old ancestor is sincere in his request for a truce, yet they actually said such disgraceful words. This kind of person is truly too despicable. Hearing Zhao Yun's words, the officials behind the flowing cloud kingdom's old ancestor were all enraged. "Toying with you? It's not like His Majesty will reward me. Asking for his head is His Majesty's decree. Thus, this is our objective and will not change," Zhao Yun said seriously as he looked at the furious flowing cloud kingdom's old ancestor. Chapter 1052. No one had thought that Zhao Yun's words would be so blunt. When the Drift Cloud Emperor heard Zhao Yun's words, his face turned ashen and extremely ugly. If not for his lack of strength, he would definitely charge forward and fight Zhao Yun to the death. "You want my Drift Cloud Emperor's head? That's too much. I wonder if we can change it." Hearing Zhao Yun's words, the Drift Cloud ancestor suppressed the anger in his heart and said to Zhao Yun, "After all, if Yihao wanted someone else's head, he might have agreed. After all, everything was for the Drift Cloud Kingdom. However, if the Drift Cloud Emperor was really killed right under his nose, it would not only be a disgrace to the Drift Cloud Kingdom, it would be a disgrace to him. He would also become the laughingstock of the world. After all, as the ancestor, if he couldn't even protect the emperor, what was the use of him as the ancestor? Therefore, this put him in a very difficult position. We can't change it. Since you don't agree, it won't be too late for us to kill you." Zhao Yun refused directly. After all, Yihao's mission was to give all 9 Atman body realm leveling pills to whoever killed the Drift Cloud Emperor first. Therefore, their goal was to kill the Drift Cloud Emperor. How could they change their mind just because of a few words from the Drift Cloud ancestor? Not to mention the reward. They wouldn't even disobey Yihao's orders. Hearing Zhao Yun's words, the Drift Cloud ancestor was simply speechless. It was for no other reason than the fact that Zhao Yun's words were simply too straightforward. Furthermore, there was a threatening intent contained within those words, causing him to be unable to refute them. After all, to be honest, they were at a disadvantage now. They only had 2 choices left. The first was to hand over the Drift Cloud Emperor and let him be killed. The advantage of this was that they wouldn't have to fight to the death. They would still have a chance to take revenge in the future. The remaining choice was to fight to the death with Zhao Yun and the others. When the time came, the Drift Cloud Emperor would probably still be dead. At this moment, the Drift Cloud Emperor's face was so gloomy that it was about to drip water. He didn't expect Yi Hao to be so ruthless. He had only sent 5 million soldiers to attack the Tianyuan kingdom, but Yi Hao had sent experts to kill him. Of course, this also proved that Yi Hao had enough experts under him. Otherwise, he wouldn't have ignored the 5 million strong army and directly charged into the Drifting Cloud Kingdom's royal palace. At this moment, the Drift Cloud Emperor's face was so gloomy that water was about to drip from it. However, deep down, he was still extremely nervous. He knew that at this moment, his fate was completely in the hands of Ancestor Flowing Cloud. Whether he lived or died would depend on whether or not the Flowing Cloud Old Ancestor would protect him. If the Drifting Cloud Ancestor abandoned him, then he would be dead. After all, at the very least, the Flowing Cloud Ancestor could still fight Zhao Yun. Other than the Old Ancestor, it was hard for him to think of anyone else in the Drift Cloud Kingdom who could fight against Zhao Yun and the others. Thus, at this moment, he nervously fixed his gaze on the Flowing Cloud Ancestor. He clenched his fists tightly, and cold sweat appeared on his palms. At this moment, when the officials saw this scene, they all wanted to say something but stopped. All of them didn't know what to say. After all, if they didn't kill the Drift Cloud Emperor, they might be buried with him, and the Drift Cloud Kingdom would be finished. However, if they killed the Drift Cloud Emperor, as the citizens of the Drift Cloud Kingdom, they couldn't bear to watch the Drift Cloud Emperor be killed. Therefore, they felt extremely conflicted. Although the battle was still ongoing, most of them were looking at the Flowing Cloud Ancestor. After all, everyone could see that the decision was completely in the hands of the Flowing Cloud Ancestor. It seems that we can only go and take the Drift Cloud Emperor's head ourselves. Seeing that the Flowing Cloud Ancestor was hesitating and not saying anything, Zhao Yun took the initiative to speak. Heavenly King Ran, hurry up. Let's kill him first. This will take up some time. Zhao Yun said to Ran Ke. He increased the power and speed of his attacks. Yes, Ranmin nodded and also increased the speed of his attacks. What should we do? The Flowing Cloud Ancestor could feel that the attacks from the two had become somewhat strenuous. A complicated look appeared in the Flowing Cloud Ancestor's eyes. Although he was still trying his best to fight against the two, he had already made a decision in his heart. The Flowing Cloud Ancestor glanced at the old man with the surname Yu. Looking at the old man with the surname Yu, who was on par with Guan Yu, the Flowing Cloud Ancestor felt helpless. In his opinion, it was impossible to rely on the old man with the surname Yu. Whoosh, 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 whoosh. The Flowing Cloud Ancestor heard the sound of arrows and saw soldiers being shot by arrows and falling to the ground. The Flowing Cloud Ancestor glanced at Sun Shangxiang and Huang Zhong. He knew that Sun Shangxiang and Huang Zhong hadn't really made a move yet. If Sun Shangxiang and Huang Zhong also disregarded everything and came respectfully to him, he wouldn't be able to survive. In that case, he would also have no chance of survival. Only death would await him. All right, I agree. The Flowing Cloud Ancestor suddenly said through gritted teeth. What? You agree? Zhao Yun and Ran Min were stunned when they heard the Flowing Cloud Ancestor's words. Clearly, no one expected the Flowing Cloud Ancestor to agree to such a request. Ancestor, you... The Flowing Cloud Emperor panicked when he heard the Flowing Cloud Ancestor's words. He was so angry that he couldn't say anything. He never expected the Flowing Cloud Ancestor to abandon him at the last moment. For the Flowing Cloud Kingdom, sacrifice yourself once. The Flowing Cloud Ancestor didn't even dare to look at the Flowing Cloud Emperor as he said directly. The Flowing Cloud Emperor was speechless when he heard the Flowing Cloud Ancestor's words. He didn't know what to say. Should he continue to fight or beg for mercy? After all, he couldn't bring himself to beg for mercy in front of so many people. Most importantly, he knew that even if he begged for mercy, Zhao Yun and the others wouldn't let him go. After all, Zhao Yun and the others had a clear goal. Therefore, he wouldn't be so foolish as to beg for mercy. That would only make him die without dignity. Although he was prepared to die, he still felt some fear when he was faced with death. To be honest, he was already regretting provoking Yi Hao. Why did he have to find trouble with Yi Hao and the Tianyuan kingdom? Why did he have to be the one to stick his neck out? Now, he had gotten himself into trouble. However, how could he have known that Yi Hao had so many experts under his command? He was helpless. Chapter 10:53. All right then. Zhao Yun stopped attacking when he heard the flowing cloud patriarch's words. Guan Yu and the others stopped attacking when they saw Zhao Yun stop attacking. The old man with the surname Yu heaved a sigh of relief. Because he was evenly matched with Xia Haoshuan just now, he actually felt a trace of threat from Xia Haoshuan. He really didn't know who would live and who would die if the battle continued. I'm willing to sacrifice myself for the country. The flowing cloud emperor suddenly dodged the weapon of a guard and committed suicide. No, your majesty. All the officials shouted in unison when they saw the flowing cloud emperor's actions. However, their shouts were unable to stop the flowing cloud emperor. An arrow of blood shot out from the flowing cloud emperor's neck. Thump! The flowing cloud emperor's corpse fell to the ground. This is troublesome. Zhao Yun and the others did not look happy when they saw the flowing cloud emperor's corpse. Instead, they looked troubled. Is there anything you're dissatisfied with? The flowing cloud patriarch asked when he saw the change in their expressions. Although he did not want the flowing cloud emperor to die, he was impressed that the flowing cloud emperor chose to commit suicide. However, the current problem did not allow him to care about the flowing cloud emperor's life. He only wanted to deal with Zhao Yun and the others so that they could leave quickly. After all, every second Yi Hao and the others stayed here was a second of worry for him. He was extremely nervous and kept hanging in suspense. Wasn't your target the flowing cloud emperor? Now that the flowing cloud emperor is dead, your mission is complete. It's time for you to leave. The flowing cloud patriarch advised carefully. But our goal is to compete. Whoever can kill the drifting cloud emperor first will be able to obtain my emperor's reward. But he has committed suicide, so how are we going to determine the victor? Zhao Yun was also very direct, getting straight to the point. After all, Yi Hao's order was that whoever killed the flowing cloud emperor would be rewarded with the 9 pills. However, the flowing cloud emperor had committed suicide. None of them had killed him. Did that not mean that none of them would be rewarded by Yi Hao? Oh, what do you mean? You mean to say that the emperor of the drifting cloud kingdom died in vain? Hearing Zhao Yun's words, the flowing cloud ancestor simply had the urge to swear. After all, sacrificing the life of the drifting cloud kingdom's emperor was a great humiliation to the drifting cloud kingdom. However, for the sake of the flowing cloud kingdom, even if the flowing cloud emperor died, he would still accept it. After all, he had saved the flowing cloud kingdom, and his death was glorious. However, after what Zhao Yun said, it was clear that the flowing cloud emperor's suicide was completely worthless, not even worth a single copper coin. How could he not be angry? Not only him, but all the officials present were also angry. What do you mean? Are you toying with me? Why didn't he say so earlier? That's right. Why did you have to wait until His Majesty was dead? Does this mean that His Majesty died in vain? Absolutely not. How can His Majesty die in vain? The officials shouted anxiously. What do you mean? Are you toying with me? Ancestor Flowing Cloud's face darkened as he looked at Zhao Yun. Although he was not as strong as Zhao Yun, he still needed an explanation. He could not tolerate the humiliation his drifting cloud kingdom had suffered, sacrificing the emperor and dying in vain in the end. Otherwise, he would not be able to face the citizens of the drifting cloud kingdom. Even Elder Yu's heart was in his mouth at this moment. He had thought that everything would be over with the drifting cloud emperor's death, and he would be able to escape. However, he did not expect Zhao Yun to say something like this after the drifting cloud emperor's death. Elder Yu could not help but look at Ancestor Flowing Cloud with a bitter expression. After all, the atmosphere was tense again. Ugh, who told him to die so quickly? We didn't even negotiate the terms. Zhao Yun said helplessly when he saw Ancestor Flowing Cloud's angry expression. He was right. The drifting cloud emperor's suicide was completely out of his expectations. He did not even have the chance to stop it. At this moment, Guan Yu and the others looked at each other in dismay. They were also in a difficult position. After all, it was too important to be the first to kill the Drifting Cloud Emperor. The reward was 9 Atman body realm leveling pills. They were only one step away from obtaining the leveling pills. However, their target was dead. What could they do? The Flowing Cloud Kingdom's emperor has already died. What should we do next? The Flowing Cloud Kingdom's ancestor directly asked Zhao Yun. My emperor is already dead. You can't possibly say that my emperor Drifting Cloud died in vain, right? The Drifting Cloud ancestor's tone was extremely unpleasant. Since we can't come to an agreement, I think we should just continue fighting. Zhao Yun said indifferently. Uffed. Ancestor Flowing Cloud could not help but spit out a mouthful of blood when he heard Zhao Yun's words. He was clearly furious. After all this time, the Drifting Cloud Emperor had sacrificed himself for nothing. If the Drifting Cloud Emperor knew that he had killed himself for nothing, how would he feel? Everyone, let's kill these 2 Atman body realm cultivators first. When the time comes, we'll see who kills more enemies and who wins. Zhao Yun said as he began to attack Ancestor Flowing Cloud. All right. Guan Yu and the others agreed when they heard Zhao Yun's words. They would not care. When the time comes, we'll see who kills more enemies and who wins. Zhao Yun said as he began to attack Ancestor Flowing Cloud. All right. Guan Yu and the others agreed when they heard Zhao Yun's words. They would not care. When the time comes, we'll see who kills more enemies and who wins. Zhao Yun said as he began to attack Ancestor Flowing Cloud. All right. Guan Yu and the others agreed when they heard Zhao Yun's words. When the time comes, we'll see who kills more enemies and who wins. Zhao Yun said as he began to attack Ancestor Flowing Cloud. All right. Guan Yu and the others agreed when they heard Zhao Yun's words. They would not care. When the time comes, we'll see who kills more enemies and who wins. Zhao Yun said as he began to attack Ancestor Flowing Cloud. All right. Guan Yu and the others agreed when they heard Zhao Yun's words. They would not care. When the time comes, we'll see who kills more enemies and who wins. Zhao Yun said as he began to attack Ancestor Flowing Cloud. All right. Guan Yu and the others agreed when they heard Zhao Yun's words. When the time comes, we'll see who kills more enemies and who wins. Zhao Yun said as he began to attack Ancestor Flowing Cloud. All right. Guan Yu and the others agreed when they heard Zhao Yun's words. They would not care. Chapter 1054. All right then. Zhao Yun stopped attacking when he heard the Flowing Cloud Patriarch's words. Guan Yu and the others also stopped attacking when they saw Zhao Yun stop attacking. The old man with the surname Yu heaved a sigh of relief. Because he was evenly matched with Xia Haoshuan just now, he actually felt a trace of threat from Xia Haoshuan. He really didn't know who would live and who would die if the battle continued. I'm willing to sacrifice my life for the country. The Flowing Cloud Emperor suddenly dodged the weapon of a guard and committed suicide. No, Your Majesty! All the officials shouted in unison when they saw the Flowing Cloud Emperor's actions. However, their shouts were unable to stop the Flowing Cloud Emperor. Blood spurted out from the Flowing Cloud Emperor's neck. Thump! The Flowing Cloud Emperor's corpse fell to the ground. Ugh, this is troublesome. Zhao Yun and the others did not look happy when they saw the Flowing Cloud Emperor's corpse. Instead, they looked troubled. Is there anything you're not satisfied with? The Flowing Cloud Patriarch asked when he saw the changes in their expressions. Although he did not want the Flowing Cloud Emperor to die, he was impressed that the Flowing Cloud Emperor chose to commit suicide. However, the current problem did not allow him to care about the Flowing Cloud Emperor's life. He only wanted to deal with Zhao Yun and the others so that they could leave as soon as possible. After all, every second Yi Hao and the others stayed here was a second of worry for him. He was extremely nervous and kept hanging in suspense. Wasn't your target the Flowing Cloud Emperor? Now that the Flowing Cloud Emperor is dead, your mission is complete. It's time for you to leave. The Flowing Cloud Patriarch advised carefully. But our goal is to compete. Whoever can kill the Drifting Cloud Emperor first will be able to obtain my emperor's reward. But he has committed suicide. How are we going to determine the victor? Zhao Yun was also very direct, getting straight to the point. After all, Yi Hao's order was that whoever killed the Flowing Cloud Emperor would be rewarded with the 9 pills. However, the Flowing Cloud Emperor had committed suicide. None of them had killed him. Did that not mean that none of them would be rewarded by Yi Hao? Ugh, what do you mean? You mean to say that the Emperor of the Drifting Cloud Kingdom died in vain? Hearing Zhao Yun's words, the Flowing Cloud ancestor simply had the urge to curse. After all, sacrificing the life of the Drifting Cloud Kingdom's emperor was a great humiliation to the Drifting Cloud Kingdom. However, for the sake of the Flowing Cloud Kingdom, even if the Flowing Cloud Emperor died, he would still accept it. After all, he had saved the Flowing Cloud Kingdom, and his death was glorious. However, after what Zhao Yun said, it was clear that the Flowing Cloud Emperor's suicide was completely worthless, not even worth a single copper coin. How could he not be angry? Not only him, but all the officials present were also angry. What do you mean? Are you toying with me? Why didn't he say so earlier? That's right. Why did you have to wait until His Majesty was dead? Does this mean that His Majesty died in vain? Absolutely not. How can His Majesty die in vain? The officials shouted anxiously. What do you mean? Are you toying with me? Ancestor Flowing Cloud's face darkened as he looked at Zhao Yun. Although he was not as strong as Zhao Yun, he still needed an explanation. He could not tolerate the humiliation his Drifting Cloud Kingdom had suffered, sacrificing the emperor and dying in vain in the end. Otherwise, he would not be able to face the citizens of the Drifting Cloud Kingdom. Even Elder Yu's heart was in his mouth at this moment. He had thought that everything would be over with the Drifting Cloud Emperor's death, and he would be able to escape. However, he did not expect Zhao Yun to say something like this after the Drifting Cloud Emperor's death. Elder Yu could not help but look at Ancestor Flowing Cloud with a bitter expression. After all, the atmosphere was tense again. Ugh, who told him to die so quickly? We didn't even negotiate the terms. Zhao Yun said helplessly when he saw Ancestor Flowing Cloud's angry expression. He was right. The Drifting Cloud Emperor's suicide was completely out of his expectations. He did not even have the chance to stop it. At this moment, Guan Yu and the others looked at each other in dismay. They were also in a difficult position. After all, it was too important to be the first to kill the Drifting Cloud Emperor. The reward was 9 Atman Body Realm leveling pills. They were only one step away from obtaining the leveling pills. However, their target was dead. What could they do? Then you tell us. Our Drifting Cloud Emperor is dead. What should we do next? Ancestor Flowing Cloud asked Zhao Yun directly. My emperor is already dead. You can't possibly say that my Emperor Drifting Cloud died in vain, right? The Drifting Cloud ancestor's tone was extremely unpleasant. Since we can't come to an agreement, I think we should just continue fighting. Zhao Yun said indifferently. Uff. Ancestor Flowing Cloud could not help but spit out a mouthful of blood when he heard Zhao Yun's words. He was clearly furious. After all this time, the Drifting Cloud Emperor had sacrificed himself for nothing. If the Drifting Cloud Emperor knew that he had killed himself for nothing, how would he feel? Everyone, let's kill these 2 Atman Body Realm cultivators first. When the time comes, we'll see who kills more enemies and who wins. Zhao Yun said as he began to attack Ancestor Flowing Cloud. All right, Guan Yu and the others agreed when they heard Zhao Yun's words. They would not care. When the time comes, we'll see who kills more enemies and who wins. Zhao Yun said as he began to attack Ancestor Flowing Cloud. All right, Guan Yu and the others agreed when they heard Zhao Yun's words. They would not care. When the time comes, we'll see who kills more enemies and who wins. Zhao Yun said as he began to attack Ancestor Flowing Cloud. All right, Guan Yu and the others agreed when they heard Zhao Yun's words. When the time comes, we'll see who kills more enemies and who wins. Zhao Yun said as he began to attack Ancestor Flowing Cloud. All right, Guan Yu and the others agreed when they heard Zhao Yun's words. They would not care. When the time comes, we'll see who kills more enemies and who wins. Zhao Yun said as he began to attack Ancestor Flowing Cloud. All right, Guan Yu and the others agreed when they heard Zhao Yun's words. They would not care. When the time comes, we'll see who kills more enemies and who wins. Zhao Yun said as he began to attack Ancestor Flowing Cloud. All right, Guan Yu and the others agreed when they heard Zhao Yun's words. When the time comes, we'll see who kills more enemies and who wins. Zhao Yun said as he began to attack Ancestor Flowing Cloud. All right, Guan Yu and the others agreed when they heard Zhao Yun's words. They would not care. They would not care. Chapter 1055. Come on, everyone. There's so many people here. Let's see who can kill the most and get the head of the Drifting Cloud Emperor. After killing the old man with the surname Yu, Zhao Yun said, "Then let's begin." As soon as Sun Shangxiang finished speaking, the flexible sword in his hand immediately attacked the surrounding people. The rest of the people were no exception. They all attacked the crowd around them. Not good. These people are demons. Let's run. Run for your lives. At this moment, everyone had lost all strength to resist and started to run. At this moment, in the Drifting Cloud Kingdom's imperial city, in a restaurant, a young man was drinking wine with two beautiful women in his arms. The young man was looking in the direction of the Drifting Cloud Kingdom's imperial city. Behind the young man stood 10 golden armored guards. If there was an expert here, he would realize that these people were all level 1 Atman body realm cultivators. In front of these 10 golden armored guards stood a white-haired old man. Old Wu, do you think Elder Yu will be able to win over the Drifting Cloud Kingdom? The young man was expressionless as he drank his wine and asked, Your Highness, Elder Yu is friends with the Drifting Cloud Kingdom's old ancestor. I think the Drifting Cloud Kingdom should be able to submit. Old Wu said respectfully, Why did I hear that someone has attacked the Drifting Cloud Palace? The young man continued to ask, Don't worry, Your Highness, I want to take a look just now. There are only a few level 1 Atman body realm cultivators. Elder Yu and the Drifting Cloud Kingdom's old ancestor are both level 2 Atman body realm cultivators. They should be able to deal with them. Old Wu said respectfully, Your Highness, I have a feeling that something big is going to happen. I am worried that Elder Yu will be in trouble. Send someone to the Drifting Cloud Palace to take a look. The young man said with a frown. Yes, Your Highness. Old Wu nodded and waved his hand at the people behind him. One of the golden armored guards immediately left and headed towards the Drifting Cloud Palace. Your Highness, something bad has happened. After a while, the golden armored guard returned. He carefully glanced at the young man before speaking respectfully. Speak. The young man raised his wine cup and asked directly. The entire Flowing Cloud Imperial Palace is being massacred. The golden armored guard hurriedly said, Where's Elder Yu? The young man's wine glass was already at the edge of his mouth when he suddenly stopped. I think he's dead. The golden armored guard glanced at the young man and said carefully, Bang! A crisp sound rang out. The wine cup in the young man's hand shattered instantly, and the wine spilled out. Your Highness, please calm down. Old Wu hurriedly advised the young man. Did you see it clearly? The young man's voice was much colder than before. I didn't dare to get close to check, so I caught one of the people who ran away and questioned him. It was confirmed that Elder Yu is dead. Hearing the cold voice of a young man, the golden armored guard replied with a face full of fear. Haha, I didn't expect that there would be someone who dares to kill my men. Hearing the guard's words, the young man laughed maniacally. As soon as the young man laughed, a murderous intent burst out from his body. All of you, follow me to avenge Elder Yu. The young man stood up and said. As for the two beauties, they were held in the arms of the young man with a face full of fear. Your Highness, please calm down. We should first investigate the other party's background. Old Wu hurriedly said to stop the young man. I don't care what his background is. Since he dares to kill my men, he will die. There will be no other outcome. The young man did not hide his murderous intent at all. He walked towards the Flowing Cloud Imperial Palace in anger. Hurry up and follow him. Seeing the young man leave, Old Wu did not dare to delay. He immediately led the 10 golden armored guards and followed the young man. After all, the young man's identity was very precious. If anything happened to the young man, they would not be able to get away with it. Therefore, they immediately followed the young man and rushed towards the flowing cloud imperial palace. Haha, looks like I'm going to win this competition. At this moment, in the square of the flowing cloud imperial palace, Guan Yu suddenly said, Marshal Guan is so capable. Marshal Guan has won, and we are sincerely convinced. I didn't expect Marshal Guan to be so powerful when he uses all his strength. Hearing Guan Yu's words, they were not angry. Instead, they laughed. All right, let's kill these people so that we can go back and report to His Highness. Guan Yu said, Go back. All 5 of you will die here today. At this moment, an extremely arrogant voice sounded. Seems like the enemy is here. Hearing this voice, Zhao Yun shrugged helplessly. But when Zhao Yun and the other 4 turned around, they were completely stunned. Who is this kid? What a grand entrance. The 5 of them looked at the young man who had beauties in his arms and 11 people behind him. Among them were 10 golden armored guards and a white-haired old man. It was impossible for such an entrance not to attract attention. What's more, those who stood out at this time were undoubtedly enemies and not friends. Be careful. Seeing the young man appear, Guan Yu cautioned. Guan Yu noticed that the 11 people behind the young man were all Atman Body Realm experts. Seeing so many Atman Body Realm experts, Guan Yu had to be careful. Guan Yu couldn't help but be curious. How could the Flowing Cloud Kingdom have so many Atman Body Realm experts? The symbol on their armor is a ball of flame. At this moment, one of the officials who had not been killed suddenly exclaimed when he saw the flame symbol on the armor of the 10 golden armored guards. Fire. Flame symbol. Could they be from the Fire Beacon Dynasty? One of the officials asked in shock. My guess should be right. They are probably from the Fire Beacon Dynasty. This is great. The people from the Fire Beacon Dynasty are here. Doesn't that mean we are saved? After guessing the identity of the young man, the remaining officials of the Flowing Cloud Kingdom seemed to have seen their savior. It was as if they had seen the hope of survival. They knew that the old man surnamed Yu was from the Fire Beacon Dynasty. Now, the old man had been killed by Guan Yu and the others. The appearance of the people from the Fire Beacon Dynasty was obviously to avenge the old man surnamed Yu. Moreover, with the reputation of the Fire Beacon Dynasty and the tone of the young man before them, they were extremely arrogant. Clearly, the young man had great strength to rely on. Otherwise, it would have been impossible for him to come here so openly to exact vengeance despite knowing that the old man had been killed. Haha, at least you have some eyesight. You actually know that I'm from the Fire Beacon Dynasty. Today, I'm in a good mood, so I'll save your lives. The young man laughed when he heard the discussions of the officials. Your Highness? He actually called himself Your Highness? Chapter 10:56. So when they heard the youth's words, they were all shocked. They weren't stupid. Clearly, the youth had admitted that he was from the Fire Beacon Dynasty. Now that the youth called himself Your Highness, no one would dare to do so except for the prince of the Fire Beacon Dynasty. After the shock, some of the officials were secretly delighted. They only wanted to see the Tianyuan kingdom make a fool of themselves. They could have provoked anyone, but they actually provoked the prince of the Fire Beacon Dynasty. They had truly offended the Fire Beacon Dynasty. This time, the Tianyuan kingdom was definitely inviting trouble for themselves. The remaining officials also knew that they had to hug the youth's thigh tightly. One of them thanked the youth repeatedly. Thank you, Your Highness, for saving our lives. You saved us from the claws of these demons. Looking at the respectful and fearful gazes of the crowd, the youth felt that he was enjoying it very much. Elder Yu. Suddenly, the youth saw a blurred corpse and immediately ran over. Although the corpse was killed, it didn't look old at all. However, he had interacted with Elder Yu for so long, and he also saw the weapon beside Elder Yu. Naturally, he could recognize Elder Yu with a single glance. Who did this? I'll tear him into pieces and make him pay for Elder Yu's death. The youth roared as killing intent surged from his body. Your Highness, it was the 5 of them. They attacked together and killed Elder Yu. Before the battle, Elder Yu requested for a truce and even mentioned the Fire Beacon dynasty. However, the 5 of them didn't take it seriously and still killed Elder Yu. An official immediately jumped out and said, "After all, the youth was definitely a huge thigh. Perhaps if they hugged this thigh, they would be able to climb onto the Fire Beacon dynasty's ship." Therefore, when the official spoke, his fawning expression was written all over his face. When the youth heard the official's words, he looked at Zhao Yun and the others and shouted, "You 5, how dare you? Which country are you from?" Before Guan Yu and the others could speak, the official who was trying to curry favor with the youth immediately said, "Your Highness, they're from the Tianyuan Kingdom." Tianyuan Kingdom? Hearing the name of the Tianyuan Kingdom, the youth frowned. Because in his impression, the Tianyuan Kingdom was just a declining dynasty. This time, he came out to train so that he could rope into various dynasties and make them part of his strength. As for the Tianyuan Kingdom, it was not in his plans at all, because he completely looked down on the Tianyuan Kingdom and did not put in his eyes. Why would he care about a kingdom that he didn't even care about? But what surprised him was that this kingdom that he looked down upon, since when did it have so many Atman body realm spiritualists? "Your Highness, be careful of any traps," Old Wu cautiously reminded. Evidently, Old Wu had heard of the Tianyuan Kingdom. Upon hearing that Zhao Yun and the others were actually from the Tianyuan Kingdom, he found it hard to believe. "We are from the Tianyuan Kingdom," Old Min replied when he heard the young man's disbelieving tone. "All right, since you dare to kill my men, I shall kill all of you first before going to destroy that bullshit Tianyuan Kingdom." The young man snorted coldly. "Tear these 5 bastards into pieces." The young man waved his hand and ordered the people behind him. In an instant, other than Old Wu, the other 10 golden armored guards immediately charged toward Zhao Yun and the others. "Come on, everyone!" Seeing the 10 golden armored guards charging toward him, Zhao Yun was not afraid. Instead, he was overjoyed and charged forward. The other 4 people also rushed forward at the same time. 2 golden armored guards against 1 person. Gradually, the 5 of them were at a disadvantage. These people's cultivations are actually so valiant. Thus, when Zhao Yun saw the 2 golden armored imperial guards, he felt a trace of shock in his heart. The situation of the other 4 was not optimistic either. The people who can fight with me have not been born yet." The young man sneered when he saw that Zhao Yun and the others were at a disadvantage. What a joke! These 10 golden armored guards of his were not ordinary level 1 Atman body realm spiritualists. They had been nurtured by the blood of the Fire Beacon dynasty since they were young. They had gone through countless life and death situations to cultivate them. Normally, these people would not make a move. If they made a move, they would be able to fight against a level 2 Atman body realm spiritualist for countless rounds. He originally thought that these golden armored guards would be able to kill Zhao Yun and the others in an instant. But he did not expect that Zhao Yun and the others could hold on for so long. This meant that Zhao Yun and the others were stronger than ordinary level 1 Atman body realm spiritualists. No wonder they could kill Old Yu. Seeing the strength of Zhao Yun and the others, Old Wu also believed that Old Yu was killed by Zhao Yun and the others. His Highness men are too strong. I already said that the Fire Beacon dynasty could not be provoked. Who asked those people to be so reckless? Now, they have kicked an iron plate. I reckon that those people must be regretting their actions to the point of their intestines turning green. Serves them right. They were so arrogant earlier, and now they're going to be killed. Seeing that Zhao Yun and the others were at a disadvantage, the people of the Drifting Cloud Kingdom heaved a sigh of relief. Because if nothing unexpected happened, only death awaited Zhao Yun and the others this time. Furthermore, the young man had 10 level 1 Atman body realm spiritualists under him. So what could happen? Unless the young man was merciful, Zhao Yun and the others would be dead for sure. Zhao Yun and the others were the ones who killed the young man. The young man would not let Zhao Yun and the others go just to save face. At this moment, Zhao Yun and the others were anxious. They could feel that it was getting more and more difficult to attack. Pay attention, don't let them escape. Otherwise, I will skin you alive. The young man was also worried that Zhao Yun and the others would escape, so he immediately instructed the golden armored guards. Yes. Hearing the young man's words, the golden armored guards immediately responded and fought with Zhao Yun and the others. Zhao Yun and the others discovered that escaping from the hands of these golden armored guards was as difficult as ascending to the heavens. Don't tell me we're going to die here today, Zhao Yun asked. So what if we die? What's there to be afraid of? Old K said domineeringly. It's a pity that we won't be able to follow His Highness in the future. Sun Shangxiang said regretfully. It is indeed a pity, but fortunately, we completed His Highness's mission and killed the Drifting Cloud Emperor. Huang Zhou nodded. Since we can't escape death, we can't let them have it easy. Let's fight it out with them. Guan Yu suddenly said. All right, let's fight. The others said. Chapter 10:57. You guys get rid of them quickly. Hearing Old Wu's words, the young man hurriedly ordered. This was because the young man did not want any accidents to happen to his 10 guards. Yes. Hearing the young man's order, the 10 golden armored guards sped up their attacks. All of you stop. At this moment, an explosive roar suddenly sounded out. Who's there? Who dares to call himself emperor here? Hearing the roar, everyone looked towards the source of the voice. Even the young man and Old Wu were no exception. The newcomer was a young man, and behind the young man was a subordinate holding a large saber. When Zhao Yun and the rest heard the voice, they were first stunned, then they were overjoyed. His Majesty is here. Sun Shangxiang's face was filled with joy. Who are you? Seeing Xia Haoshuan appear, the young man looked at Yi Hao cautiously. The Emperor of Tianyuan Kingdom. Yi Hao looked at the young man and replied directly. What? You are the Emperor of Tianyuan Kingdom? Looking at Yi Hao, the young man's expression changed and he frowned. Hearing Yi Hao's identity, Old Wu also became cautious and stared at Yan Liang cautiously. Unfortunately, Yan Liang did not reveal his strength. Thus, Old Wu was unable to see through Yan Liang's cultivation. In fact, even if Yan Liang revealed his aura, Old Wu could not see through Yan Liang's cultivation. After all, the difference between the two of them was too big. He is the Emperor of Tianyuan Kingdom. No way, why is he here? He doesn't look too old. Why does he have so many strong subordinates? I don't know. I'm guessing that there might be a powerful force behind him. He dares to come out at this time. Is he courting death? Many people from Drifting Cloud Kingdom looked at Yi Hao and started to discuss. Who are you? Yi Hao looked at the young man and asked. This was because he did not know who the young man was. After all, he had just arrived and saw that many of his subordinates were in danger, so he stood out. Originally, Yi Hao had wanted to head straight for the Drifting Cloud Kingdom's army to stop the 50,000-strong army. But later on, he realized that the Black Sword sect was closer to the Flowing Cloud Kingdom's imperial capital. Thus, he decided to drop by the Drifting Cloud Kingdom's imperial palace to see who was capable of killing the Drifting Cloud Kingdom's emperor. Ha ha ha, you actually don't know my identity? Hearing Yi Hao's question, the young man seemed to have heard the biggest joke. This is His Highness, Prince Jade of the Fire Beacon Empire. Old Wu stepped forward and introduced him. Hearing Old Wu's introduction, Prince Jade's face was filled with pride as he looked at Yi Hao. He wanted to see fear and panic on Yi Hao's face. Don't talk about some dog-T prince. Just that dog-T Fire Beacon dynasty? I don't even know him. Looking at Prince Jade's smug expression, Yi Hao shook his head. What did you say? Hearing Yi Hao's words, Prince Jade was stunned and instantly became furious. He was the prince of the Fire Beacon Empire, and there was actually someone who didn't know him. To him, this was simply a humiliation. Furthermore, not only did he not know him, he even called him a dog-T prince. This was simply an insult. Not only did he insult him, he even insulted the Fire Beacon Empire. Oh my God, the Emperor of the Tianyuan Kingdom is too arrogant. He actually dares to not even put Prince Jade in his eyes, and even said that the Fire Beacon Empire is dogsh asterisk T. Indeed, like master, like subordinate. This Emperor Tian Yuan is much more arrogant than those subordinates. What's the use of being arrogant? I'm afraid that he really doesn't know the strength of the Fire Beacon Empire. If he knew, I don't believe that he would dare to say such things. So many kingdoms provoked the Fire Beacon Empire, and in the end, they were all destroyed. This Tianyuan kingdom is probably courting death. When the crowd heard Yi Hao's words, they couldn't help but be shocked. Immediately, there was a flurry of discussion. Actually, how could Yi Hao not know about the Fire Beacon Empire? Originally, he didn't want to provoke the Fire Beacon Empire so early. However, when he saw Prince Jade's men besieging Zhao Yun, he didn't need to think to know that there was definitely a conflict between the two. Moreover, he really couldn't stand Prince Jade's smug face. Dogsh asterisk T, you're courting death. Hearing Yi Hao's words, Prince Jade was instantly enraged. You dare to disrespect me? The one courting death is you. Yi Hao looked at Prince Jade without fear. Emperor of a small kingdom. How dare you call yourself emperor in front of me? It seems like you really don't know how to write the word death. Prince Jade said coldly when he heard Yi Hao's words. This time, the Jade Prince was truly enraged. Old Wu, I want you to kill this dogsh asterisk T. Prince Jade glared at Yi Hao, killing intent surging from his body. Yes, your majesty. Hearing Prince Jade's words, Old Wu didn't dare to disobey. He took out his weapon and attacked Yi Hao. Level 3 Atman Body Realm. Sensing the aura bursting forth from Old Wu, the expressions of Zhao Yun and the others immediately changed. Your Majesty, be careful. Everyone hurriedly shouted. Oh my god, I didn't expect Prince Jade to have a level 3 Atman Body Realm expert by his side. Prince Jade is indeed a prince of the Fire Beacon Empire, to have Atman Body Realm experts by his side. Looking at the panicked faces of Emperor Tianyuan's men, that Emperor Tianyuan is probably going to die. The onlookers from the Flowing Cloud Kingdom were all shocked when they saw Old Wu make his move. Dogsh asterisk T, let's see if you can still be so arrogant after I kill you. Seeing Old Wu make his move, Prince Jade sneered at Yi Hao. In his opinion, as long as Old Wu made his move, Yi Hao would definitely die. A mere level 3 Atman Body Realm dares to act rashly in front of my emperor. You're courting death. Seeing Old Wu make his move, Yi Hao stood his ground without any change in expression. Yan Liang, who was behind Yi Hao, suddenly jumped forward. Yan Liang didn't even bother to take out his weapon and directly punched at Old Wu with his bare hands. Damn, this kid is even more arrogant. Is he crazy? That's a level 3 Atman Body Realm expert, and he's actually using his fist to fight. Seeing that Yan Liang was actually attacking Old Wu with his bare hands, the people of the Flowing Cloud Kingdom were once again shocked. You're courting death. Seeing Yan Liang's action, Old Wu was instantly enraged. Because in his opinion, this was simply an insult and provocation from Yan Liang. He was a level 3 Atman Body Realm expert, and he didn't believe that Yan Liang's cultivation was higher than his. If Yan Liang's cultivation was higher than his, then Zhao Yun and the others wouldn't be so anxious. Seeing this scene, Jade Prince frowned as a cold sneer flashed across his eyes. Chapter 1059. Ding Dong. Congratulations to host for killing a level 1 Atman Body expert. Congratulations to host for obtaining 100,000 experience points. Ding Dong. Congratulations to host for obtaining an Atman Body level up pill. Ding Dong. Congratulations to host for killing a level 1 Atman Body expert. Congratulations to host for obtaining 100,000 experience points. Ding Dong. Congratulations to host for killing a level 1 Atman Body expert. Congratulations to host for obtaining 100,000 experience points. Ding Dong. Congratulations to host for obtaining 2 Atman Body level up pills. As Prince Yu and the rest were swallowed by the demonic crystal cannon, a system notification rang in Xia Haoshuan's mind. Oh my god, what is that thing? How can it be stronger than you guys? Dead. Prince Yu and the rest are all dead. This can't be real, right? That was 10 Atman body experts, but they couldn't even withstand a single blow from that thing. I'm not seeing things, right? This is simply too terrifying. The people of the Flowing Cloud Kingdom were all shocked when they saw the might of the demonic crystal cannon. This emperor of the Tianyuan Kingdom is too bold. He actually dared to kill Prince Yu. This time, the Tianyuan Kingdom will probably be destroyed by the hands of Emperor Tianyuan. Needless to say, Prince Yu is the prince of the Blazing Beacon Dynasty. Now that he's dead, the Blazing Beacon Dynasty won't let it go so easily. Once this news reaches the Blazing Beacon Dynasty, the Tianyuan Kingdom won't be able to survive for long. Everyone was shocked by the might of the demonic crystal cannon. But after the shock, everyone regained their senses and realized that they didn't expect Yi Hao to actually dare to kill Prince Yu. One must know that Prince Yu was a prince. He was the prince of the Blazing Beacon Dynasty, the son of the current emperor. Looking at the strength of Prince Yu's guards, one could tell that Prince Yu was very favored by the emperor of the Blazing Beacon Dynasty. Originally, all the kingdoms didn't dare to provoke the Blazing Beacon Dynasty, because if they weren't careful, they could attract the attack of the Blazing Beacon Dynasty and bring disaster to their kingdom. But for Yi Hao, it wasn't as simple as just offending the Fire Beacon Dynasty. He had directly killed a prince of the Fire Beacon Dynasty. If the Fire Beacon Dynasty didn't destroy the Tianyuan Kingdom, it would be strange indeed. Many people actually admired Yi Hao's courage. However, there were even more people who mocked Yi Hao for overestimating himself. Of all the people he could provoke, he had chosen to court death by provoking the Fire Beacon Dynasty. Greetings, my lord. Thank you for saving our lives. Zhao Yun and the others came before Yi Hao and said respectfully, "Rise." Looking at the 5 people in front of him, Yi Hao directly asked, "Who among you killed the drifting cloud emperor?" Looking at the drift cloud emperor's corpse, Yi Hao's gaze landed on Zhao Yun and the others. Seeing Yi Hao's gaze, Zhao Yun also spoke, reporting to Your Majesty, "The drift cloud emperor was not killed by us." "You didn't kill him?" Yi Hao was clearly surprised to hear Zhao Yun's words. Yi Hao couldn't think of anyone else who would kill the drift cloud emperor apart from Zhao Yun and the others. Hearing Yi Hao's question, Zhao Yun didn't dare to hide anything. He hurriedly said, "Your Majesty, the drift cloud emperor committed suicide." "What? Committed suicide?" Yi Hao was even more shocked to hear Zhao Yun's words. He didn't understand. No matter what, the drift cloud emperor was still the drift cloud kingdom's emperor. He had seen great things before. How could it be that in the end, it wasn't Yin Liang and the others who killed him, but suicide? Seeing Yi Hao's confusion, Zhao Yun hurriedly explained. After hearing Zhao Yun's explanation, Yi Hao was also stunned. Then he smiled. He really didn't expect that there would be such a small interlude. However, the Drift Cloud Emperor's death was truly sullen. He had originally wanted to commit suicide to make some contributions to the Drift Cloud Kingdom. However, even though he had committed suicide, he still couldn't escape the fate of the Drift Cloud Kingdom being destroyed. "Your Majesty, what should we do with these people?" Zhao Yun looked around at the soldiers and officials of the Drift Cloud Kingdom and asked. Hearing Zhao Yun's question, Yi Hao also looked around. Yi Hao realized that if he didn't look around, he wouldn't have known. Now that he looked, he was indeed shocked. This was because there were at least 20 to 30,000 guards and officials. These were all people of the Drift Cloud Kingdom. Those who surrender can be spared from death. Yi Hao didn't waste any words. He looked around coldly and said. Yi Hao's voice was solemn. There was no trace of emotion in it. What should we do?" Hearing Yi Hao's words, countless people began to look at each other in dismay and began to ponder. "Zhao Yun, Ran Min, hear the decree." Yi Hao suddenly spoke again. "Your subjects receive the decree." Hearing Yi Hao's words, Zhao Yun and Ran Min immediately said respectfully, "I order the 2 of you to slaughter the royal family of the Drift Cloud Kingdom." Yi Hao directly ordered the 2 of them. This wasn't because Yi Hao was heartless or cold-blooded. It was because those who wanted to achieve great things didn't care about trifles. What he wanted to unify was the Drift Cloud Kingdom. He had already killed the Drift Cloud Emperor and the Drift Cloud Ancestor. If he left the royal family alive, it would only become a disaster. In the end, he would raise a tiger and cause trouble. After all, this was the Drift Cloud Kingdom. If the royal family of the Drift Cloud Kingdom were to stir up emotions, there would be countless people willing to throw their lives away. When that time came, it would definitely bring about countless troubles for him. Therefore, in order to cut off the source, he could only eliminate the royal family of the Drift Cloud Kingdom. From another perspective, if the Tianyuan Kingdom was to be destroyed today, the Drift Cloud Emperor would probably do the same. This was what it meant to be a ruler. Sometimes there were some things that he had to do. When it was time to be cold-blooded, he had to be cold-blooded. When it was time to be heartless, he had to be heartless. He was the emperor. He had to be responsible for his country. If he was soft and indecisive, he would definitely not be able to become a qualified emperor, because sometimes the kindness one thought would lead to the death of more people in the end. At the very least, now that he had killed the royal family of the Drift Cloud Kingdom, it seemed that there were many people in the royal family. But compared to the citizens of the Drift Cloud Kingdom, the number of people in the royal family was so small that it couldn't be any smaller. If killing this small number of people could prevent more wars and more deaths in the future, he decided to kill the royal family of the Drift Cloud Kingdom. As you command. After receiving Yi Hao's order, Zhao Yun and Ranmin immediately killed their way out. You're simply a demon. You're simply a tyrant by killing them all. Tyrant, you're so heartless. You won't have a good ending. If you have the ability, let the royal family of the Drift Cloud Kingdom go. Don't go too far. Chapter 1060. What a joke. It's not up to you to judge me. Yi Hao laughed disdainfully when he heard the accusations from the Luyuan Kingdom's officials. All the officials were at a loss for words when they heard Yi Hao's words. They had never expected Yi Hao to be even more domineering than they had imagined. Furthermore, if it were you all sitting in my position, would you still say those words? Seeing that the crowd no longer spoke, Yi Hao's tone was ice cold as he asked again. Everyone was speechless when they heard Yi Hao's words, because if they were in Yi Hao's position, they would probably do the same thing as Yi Hao. After all, they knew that raising a tiger would only invite calamity. However, they couldn't beat Yi Hao in a fight, and they couldn't stand Yi Hao. They could only vent their anger by scolding Yi Hao. I'll give you 10 seconds to kneel and submit. Yi Hao said again. Everyone looked at each other when they heard Yi Hao's words. They couldn't believe that Yi Hao would dare to kill so many people. One had to know that there were tens of thousands of people here. However, when they thought about how Yi Hao had even dared to kill Prince Yu, they realized that they were nothing. Thump, thump, thump. In an instant, countless people threw down their weapons and knelt on the ground. Cowards, you bunch of cowards. You are a disgrace to the country and scum. How dare you kneel for the enemy of the country? Don't you feel ashamed? I really feel ashamed for all of you. There were quite a few people who were blindly loyal to the Drift Cloud Kingdom when they saw these people kneeling down and cursing. The Luyuan Kingdom's royal family has been destroyed. We can't resist anymore. What's the use of blind resistance? That's right. In this world, the strong are respected. As long as they are strong, they deserve our respect. Moreover, with our cultivation, we are all ants at the bottom. No matter who becomes the emperor, we just want to live happily. That's right. Is it wrong for us to just want to live? Aren't you all pointing fingers at us because you can't bear to abandon your high and mighty official positions? Just as all of the foolishly loyal officials of the Flowing Cloud Kingdom were criticizing the soldiers kneeling on the ground. At this moment, the soldiers were all enraged and began to retaliate. After all, in this world, the strong were respected. The replacement of countries was a common occurrence. The ones who really didn't want the country to be destroyed were the high-ranking officials or the royal family. They would resist desperately for their own interests. For people like them at the bottom of society, being able to keep their lives was the best. It would be even better if they did not become slaves because of the destruction of their country. Kill. Yi Hao glanced at the people who were still standing and wanted to continue instigating the soldiers who had already surrendered. He ordered Guan Yu and the others, "Kill." Hearing Yi Hao's words, Guan Yu and the others continued to charge forward. As for these people, their cultivation levels were too low and the experience points they gained were too little, so Yi Hao could not be bothered to make a move. Therefore, he was happy to be idle and watch Guan Yu and the others kill. Indeed, there were many people who were loyal to the Flowing Cloud Kingdom. Yi Hao glanced over and saw that there were at least a few people who were not willing to surrender. What a joke. It's not up to you to judge me. Yi Hao smiled disdainfully when he heard the criticism from the officials of the Flowing Cloud Kingdom. All of the officials were speechless when they heard Yi Hao's words. They did not expect Yi Hao to be even more domineering than they had imagined. Furthermore, if it were you all sitting in my position, would you still say those words? Seeing that the crowd no longer spoke, Yi Hao's tone was ice cold as he asked again. Everyone was speechless when they heard Yi Hao's words. This was because if they were in Yi Hao's position, they would probably do the same thing as Yi Hao. After all, they knew that nurturing a tiger would only invite calamity. However, they were no match for Yi Hao and could not stand the sight of Yi Hao. They could only vent their anger by scolding Yi Hao. "I'll give you 10 seconds to kneel and submit," Yi Hao said again. Everyone looked at each other when they heard Yi Hao's words. They were unwilling to believe that Yi Hao would dare to kill so many people. One had to know that there were tens of thousands of people here. However, when they thought about how Yi Hao dared to kill the Jade Prince, they were nothing compared to him. Thump, thump, thump. In an instant, countless people threw down their weapons and knelt on the ground. "Cowards, you bunch of cowards. You are the disgrace and scum of the country. How dare you kneel for the enemy of the country? Don't you feel ashamed? I feel ashamed on your behalf." There were still many people who were foolishly loyal to the Drifting Cloud Kingdom who saw these people kneeling started to scold them. The royal family of the Drifting Cloud Kingdom has been destroyed. We are powerless to resist. What's the use of blind resistance? That's right. In this world, the strong are respected. As long as they are strong, they are worthy of our respect. Moreover, with our cultivation, we are all ants at the bottom. No matter who becomes the emperor, we only want to live happily. That's right. Is it wrong for us to only want to live? Aren't you all pointing fingers at us because you can't bear to abandon your high and mighty official positions? While all the officials who were foolishly loyal to the Drifting Cloud Kingdom were criticizing the kneeling soldiers. At this moment, the soldiers were all angry and started to retaliate. After all, in this world, the strong were respected. The replacement of a country was a common occurrence. The ones who were truly unwilling to see the country destroyed were the officials with high authority or the royal family who owned wealth and glory. They would resist desperately for their own interests. For these people at the bottom, it was best to keep their lives. It would be even better if they didn't become slaves because of the destruction of the country. Kill them. Yi Hao glanced at the people who were still standing and wanted to continue instigating the soldiers who had surrendered. He ordered Guan Yu and the others, "Kill." Hearing Yi Hao's order, Guan Yu and the others continued to charge forward. As for these people, their cultivation was too low and the experience points gained were too little, so Yi Hao couldn't be bothered to make a move. Therefore, he was happy to be idle and watch Guan Yu and the others kill. There were indeed many people who were loyal to the Drifting Cloud Kingdom. Chapter 1061. Zhao Yun ran Min. Seeing everyone's nervous gaze, Xiao Haoshuan looked at Zhao Yun and Ran Min here. Zhao Yun and Ran Min became even more nervous when they heard Yi Hao calling for them. "Here are 18 elixirs. Split them between the two of you." Yi Hao thought for a moment and took out 18 elixirs. Ever since he destroyed the Black Sword sect and killed the Jade Prince, he had only obtained 35 Atman Body Realm leveling elixirs. Clearly, these Atman Body Realm leveling elixirs weren't enough for 5 people. The reason why he wanted to give them to Zhao Yun and Ran Min was because of the Atman Body Realm leveling elixirs. He wanted to leave Zhao Yun and Ran Min behind to suppress the drifting cloud kingdom, so that he could unify the kingdom as soon as possible. After all, the drifting cloud kingdom might not fall into chaos. Zhao Yun and Ran Min were stronger, so they would have some protection. Because no matter if it was Zhao Yun or Ran Min, losing any one of them would make him extremely unwilling. Zhao Yun and Ran Min were stunned when they saw the elixirs that Yi Hao handed over. The two of them couldn't react at all. What was going on? Didn't he say that there were only 9 Atman body realm leveling elixirs? Why were there so many Atman body realm leveling elixirs now? Your Majesty, I don't think this is appropriate. Although Zhao Yun and Ran Min really wanted these Atman body realm leveling elixirs, they were embarrassed to accept them when they saw the envious looks from Guan Yu and the other two. After all, they had paid the same price as Guan Yu and the other two. But now, they had received the elixirs while Guan Yu and the other two couldn't. This made the two of them feel bad. Marshal Zhao, Heavenly King Ran, since His Majesty is giving it to you, please accept it. That's right. Marshal Zhao, Heavenly King Ran, both of you have performed outstandingly. You are qualified to receive these elixirs. If you don't accept them, we will snatch them from you. Ha ha ha. Guan Yu and the other two joked when they saw that Zhao Yun and Ran Min didn't accept the elixirs. Yi Hao was very satisfied when he saw everyone's reaction. Don't worry, I only have so many elixirs with me. When I return, I will give all of you. Yi Hao said to the 5 of them. Thank you, Your Majesty. When Guan Yu and the other two saw Yi Hao giving Zhao Yun and Ran Min the pills, they didn't have any objections. However, it was impossible for him not to feel disappointed. After all, they also coveted such a powerful pill. Initially, he saw Yi Hao take out so many pills and give them to Zhao Yun and Ran Min. They had thought that they had no fate with medicinal pills. But who would have thought that Yi Hao would actually say that they would all have medicinal pills? Naturally, they were extremely excited. When Zhao Yun and Ran Min heard Yi Hao's words, they didn't argue and put the pills away. The 3 of you hurry back to the Tianyuan kingdom. Yin Liang, you come with us. After Yi Hao finished speaking to them, he did not hesitate any longer and immediately turned to leave. Farewell, Your Majesty. Seeing that Yi Hao was about to leave, everyone hurriedly bowed and greeted him. Right now, Yi Hao was in a hurry to find a place where he could test his cultivation with his physique. After all, he was now at the peak of the Demon Emperor realm. Whether he could comprehend spiritual power or not depended entirely on now. Therefore, Yi Hao couldn't afford to be careless in this breakthrough. After leaving the Luoyuan Palace, Yi Hao directly followed Yin Liang to find forest. Your Majesty, there are many trees in this forest. It seems that there are many powerful demonic beasts. Looking at the dense forest in front of them, Yin Liang looked at Yi Hao and said, Let's go in and have a look. Yi Hao wasn't afraid of the powerful demonic beasts at all, not to mention the demonic crystal cannons in his hands. Yin Liang's cultivation was already at level 10 Atman body realm. In Yi Hao's opinion, there shouldn't be any demonic beasts above the Atman body realm in this forest. In Yi Hao's opinion, it was unlikely that there would be any Atman body realm demonic beasts. However, Yi Hao hoped that he could encounter a few Atman body realm demonic beasts, because in that way, he could kill Atman body realm demonic beasts and have a chance of dropping Atman body realm pills. After all, he had promised to give the pills to Guan Yu and the others. Obviously, he couldn't go back on his words. After entering the forest, Yi Hao didn't have the slightest interest in the few low-level demonic beasts they encountered. Splash! Yi Hao and Yin Liang didn't know how long they had been searching in the forest. Suddenly, the sound of water splashing entered Yi Hao's ears. Let's go and have a look. Yi Hao and Yin Liang looked at each other and rushed towards the direction of the sound of water. It's a waterfall. What made Yi Hao's eyes light up was a huge waterfall that was dozens of meters tall. The environment here is not bad. It's just right for a breakthrough. Yi Hao scanned the surroundings and nodded in satisfaction. Yin Liang, keep watch for me. I want to break through. Yi Hao directly followed Yin Liang's order. Yes. Hearing that Yi Hao wanted a breakthrough, Yin Liang was a little surprised. However, he didn't dare to ask too much and looked around vigilantly. System, I want a breakthrough, Yi Hao said to the system as he took out a large number of spiritual stones and placed them around him. Seeing that Yi Hao took out so many spiritual stones, Yin Liang was stunned. Obviously, he didn't understand why Yi Hao needed spiritual stones for a breakthrough when his cultivation was only at the Demon Emperor realm. Most cultivators carried some spiritual stones with them when they broke through. That was when they were at the Demon Master realm. They were afraid that they wouldn't be able to absorb spiritual energy when they broke through to the Demon Emperor realm. Therefore, they carried a large number of spiritual stones in order to break through to the Demon Emperor realm so that they could absorb spiritual energy. However, Yi Hao was only at the Demon Emperor realm. He wasn't at the Demon Master realm. Therefore, he definitely wouldn't be able to break through to the Demon Emperor realm. This made Yin Liang even more puzzled. What was Yi Hao trying to do with so many spiritual stones? Ding dong. The host's experience points have been met. Do you want to level up? The system's voice sounded at the same time. Yes. As soon as the system finished speaking, Yi Hao felt that the martial arts power in his body started to change. Even more martial arts power was channeled into his body. At the same time, Yi Hao could feel a power in the air that was stronger than martial arts power. Yi Hao wasn't stupid. He naturally recognized that it was spiritual energy. Yi Hao started to try to absorb the thin spiritual energy in the air into his body. Oh my God, this can't be real. Looking at the scene in front of him, Yin Liang was so shocked that he turned pale. This was simply too terrifying. He could clearly sense that Yi Hao's cultivation was at the 10th Order Demon Emperor realm. In other words, Yi Hao was now breaking through to the 1st Order Demon Master realm from the 10th Order Demon Emperor realm. This was nothing. The only thing that surprised Yin Liang was that he actually saw Yi Hao absorbing spiritual energy when he broke through. Chapter 1062. It's actually possible. Yi Hao was overjoyed when he felt that he could absorb the spiritual energy into his body. He had tried before, but no matter what he did, he could not absorb the spiritual energy into his body. But now, he could easily absorb the spiritual energy into his body. He had been longing for this powerful spiritual energy for a long time. Now that he could absorb the spiritual energy, Yi Hao naturally cherished the opportunity and absorbed the spiritual energy crazily. Yi Hao felt that his body was changing. The spiritual energy in his body was constantly improving his physical body. Yi Hao discovered that although he could feel that the martial arts power in his body had fused with the spiritual power, he was still able to sense the spiritual power within him. But if he took a closer look, he would find that the two had not completely merged together. In an instant, the martial energy and spiritual energy in the world surged into Yi Hao's body crazily. Yin Liang was completely dumbfounded, because this would only happen when the demon supremacy broke through to the Demon Emperor level. It actually happened when Yi Hao broke through to the demon supremacy level. What did this mean? This meant that Yi Hao had comprehended the spiritual energy a whole realm earlier than ordinary people. This was definitely enough to shock countless people. Boom! After half a day, Yi Hao's cultivation suddenly changed and reached the level 1 demon supremacy. Phew, I finally broke through. Xia Haoshuan was overjoyed when he felt his strength increase and the spiritual energy in his body. Congratulations, Your Majesty, for breaking through. Yin Liang hurriedly congratulated Yi Hao when he saw that he had broken through. Yi Hao nodded when he heard Yin Liang's congratulations. Your Majesty, what's your current cultivation? Although Yin Liang knew that Yi Hao's current cultivation was the level 1 demon supremacy, he could not help but ask, because others could only sense the existence of spiritual energy when they were at the Demon Emperor level. He was really shocked that Xia Haoshuan could sense the existence of spiritual energy when he was at the demon supremacy level. That was why he asked about Yi Hao's cultivation level, so that he could get a definite answer. First Order Demon Venerable. Hearing Yin Liang's question, Yi Hao did not conceal anything and answered truthfully. You're really a first-order demon venerable. Although Yin Liang knew Yi Hao's cultivation, he was still shocked when he heard Yi Hao's answer. My lord, how did you do it? Yin Liang couldn't help but ask curiously. We don't know either. Yi Hao shrugged and didn't want to continue the discussion with Yin Liang. This must be due to your majesty's extraordinary talent. Yin Liang looked at Yi Hao with admiration. Yin Liang couldn't think of any other explanation. Yi Hao is obviously a level 1 demon venerable, but he could absorb spiritual energy. Compared to everyone else, he was absorbing spiritual power a whole stage ahead of them. It's time to take a bath. Yi Hao saw that he was sweating profusely due to his cultivation. He looked at the waterfall and the pool below and decided to wash himself. Boom! Unexpectedly, just as Yi Hao walked to the edge of the pool suddenly exploded. A huge crack appeared and a huge demonic beast rushed out. Your Majesty, be careful. Seeing the demonic beast rushing out of the pool, Yin Liang's expression changed and he shouted anxiously. At the same time, Yin Liang took out his own. It's actually possible. Yi Hao felt that he could absorb spiritual energy into his body, and he was instantly delighted. One must know that he had tried before. No matter what he did, he couldn't absorb spiritual energy into his body. But now, he could easily absorb spiritual energy into his body. One must know that he had been longing for this powerful spiritual energy for a long time. Now that he could absorb spiritual energy, Yi Hao naturally cherished the opportunity and absorbed spiritual energy crazily. Yi Hao felt that his body was changing. The spiritual energy in his body was constantly improving his physical body. Yi Hao realized that although he felt that his martial power and spiritual energy had merged together in his body, but if he took a closer look, he would see that the two had not completely merged together. In an instant, the martial power and spiritual energy between heaven and earth rushed into Yi Hao's body crazily. Yin Liang was completely dumbfounded, because this would only happen when the demon supremacy broke through to the demon emperor level. It actually happened when Yi Hao broke through to the demon supremacy level. What did this mean? This meant that Yi Hao had comprehended spiritual energy a whole realm earlier than ordinary people. This was definitely enough to shock countless people. Boom! After half a day, Yi Hao's cultivation suddenly changed and reached the level 1 demon supremacy. Phew, I finally broke through. Feeling that his strength had increased and the spiritual energy in his body, Xia Haoshuan's face was full of joy. Congratulations, Your Majesty, for breaking through. Yin Liang hurriedly congratulated Yi Hao when he saw that he had broken through. Yes. Yi Hao nodded his head when he heard Yin Liang's congratulations. Your Majesty, what is your current cultivation? Although he knew that Yi Hao's current cultivation was the level 1 demon supremacy, Yin Liang could not help but ask, because others could only sense the existence of spiritual energy when they were at the demon emperor level. He was really shocked that Xia Haoshuan could sense the existence of spiritual energy when he was at the demon supremacy level. That was why he asked what Yi Hao's cultivation was, so that he could get a definite answer. Level 1 Demon Supremacy. Hearing Yin Liang's question, Yi Hao did not hide and directly answered truthfully. You're really a level 1 Demon Supremacy. Although he knew Yi Hao's cultivation, hearing Yi Hao's answer still shocked Yin Liang. My lord, how did you do it? Yin Liang could not help but ask curiously. I'm not sure either. Yi Hao shrugged and did not want to continue the discussion with Yin Liang. This must be due to your Majesty's extraordinary talent. Yin Liang looked at Yi Hao with admiration. Yin Liang could not think of any other explanation that could explain how Yi Hao could absorb spiritual energy when he was clearly a level 1 demon supremacy. Compared to everyone else, he was absorbing spiritual power a whole stage ahead of them. It's time to take a bath. Yi Hao saw that he was sweating profusely because of his cultivation. Looking at the waterfall in front of him and the pool below, he decided to take a bath. Boom! Who would have thought that just as Yi Hao walked to the edge of the pool, a huge crack suddenly appeared in the pool, and a huge magical beast directly charged out. "Your Majesty, be careful." Seeing the demonic beast suddenly rushing out of the pool, Yin Liang's expression changed, and he hurriedly shouted anxiously. Chapter 1063. The giant crocodile's tail was almost cut in half by Yi Hao's attack. Roar! The giant crocodile howled in pain again and tried to escape. It knew that it was no match for Yi Hao. The only way it could save its life was to escape. It's too late to escape. Seeing that the giant crocodile was trying to escape, Yi Hao did not give it a chance. He attacked again and aimed at the giant crocodile's head. With the support of his spiritual power, the giant crocodile's head was instantly pierced through. The giant crocodile's demonic crystal was exposed. Ding dong! Congratulations on killing a rank 8 demon Lord Demonic Beast. Congratulations on obtaining 8,000 experience points. Congratulations on obtaining 3 demon Lord level up pills. Phew! Looks like it was pretty easy. Looking at the dead giant crocodile, Yi Hao heaved a sigh of relief. It died just like that? Looking at the dead giant crocodile, Yin Liang was shocked. He did not expect Yi Hao to be able to kill the giant crocodile. "Let's go." Yi Hao waved his hand and kept the giant crocodile. "Your Majesty, if we take this route, we can return to the Tianyuan kingdom directly." Yin Liang took out a map and pointed at a route. Yes, yes. Looking at the route, Yi Hao also nodded. Yi Hao's current goal was to kill some Atman body realm demonic beast so that he could obtain the Atman body level up pills. Yi Hao and Yin Liang ran through the forest for an entire day, but they did not find any powerful demonic beasts. Not to mention powerful demonic beasts, they did not even meet any demon overlord demonic beasts. In one day, Yi Hao only met 3 demon lord demonic beasts. Naturally, they were used by Yi Hao as practice. As for demonic beasts below the demon lord level, there were quite a number of them. However, Yi Hao was not interested in stopping or killing them. "Let's rest for a while." Seeing that the sky was getting dark, Yi Hao said to Yin Liang, "Yes, Your Majesty." Hearing Yi Hao's words, Yin Liang nodded. "Buzz, What's that sound?" Just as Yi Hao and Yin Liang found a place to sit down, they suddenly heard a voice. "Walala." Then, the sound of leaves being stepped on could be heard. "Your Majesty, it seems like someone is coming." Yin Liang took out his weapon and guarded Yin Liang while speaking to Yi Hao at the same time. "Be careful." Yi Hao had already taken out the magical crystal cannon after Yin Liang finished speaking. This was because Xia Haoshuan had a bad premonition. "Your Majesty, do you smell a strange fragrance?" Yin Liang suddenly said to Yi Hao. "Fragrance?" Hearing Yin Liang's words, Yi Hao inadvertently saw a bird on a tree that had fainted, as if it had fallen into a deep sleep. "Oh no, there's something fishy about this fragrance." Yi Hao quickly lowered his voice and said to Yin Liang, "Hold your breath." Seeing Yi Hao's serious expression, Yin Liang did not dare to disobey and quickly held his breath. "Pretend to faint." Yi Hao immediately said to Yin Liang when he saw that the person hiding in the dark was not showing himself. Yi Hao wanted to see what the person hiding in the dark was up to. How could he use such a method to poison them? Plop, plop. Yi Hao and Yin Liang pretended to be unable to withstand the fragrance and suddenly collapsed on the ground. Time passed by slowly. If Yi Hao did not see that the fainted bird on the ground had something to do with the strange fragrance in the air, Yi Hao would have thought that he was hallucinating. Walala, after a full 15 minutes, there was finally some movement in the surroundings. They are actually humans? They are not from the Dark Shadow tribe. Then what should we do now? Bring them back and let the tribe leader deal with them. Right at this moment, Yi Hao heard the clear and melodious voice of a woman by his ear. After a moment, Yi Hao felt his body lighten as he was lifted up by someone. Yi Hao tried his best to control his body and maintain his unconscious state. After walking for more than 2 hours, they still had not reached their destination. This group of people is really cunning. Yihao naturally could not keep his eyes closed. He narrowed his eyes and observed his surroundings and the route they were taking. After all, Yihao did not know what these women were up to and what they were bringing him to do. Hence, he had to be on guard. Hence, he could tell that although these people had been walking for more than 2 hours, they'd been taking detours for more than half of the time. However, what made Yihao curious was why there were so many women in this forest, which was full of danger. Just as Yihao was pondering, the women suddenly stopped in front of an unknown tree that was several meters thick. What surprised Yihao was that these people actually ran straight into the tree. Are they crazy? Just as Yihao was thinking this, these women actually passed through the tree. There's actually an array here. Yihao suddenly realized. He had actually forgotten about the existence of the array for a moment just now. However, this made Yihao even more curious about the identities of these people. Not only did they live in a dangerous forest, but they were all women and even had a powerful array. It would be strange if he was not curious about all of this. However, the only thing that did not worry Yihao was that the aura on these people was only at the Demon Emperor realm, let alone Yin Liang. Even Qi Nan himself could easily slay this group of people. Hence, Ye did not have to worry about his life being in danger. Now, he only wanted to figure out what this group of people wanted to do and who exactly they were. After passing through the tree, the scene in front of them suddenly changed. It was as if they had appeared in another world. A scene that was like a fairyland was reflected in Yihao's eyes. Birds were singing and flowers were fragrant everywhere. The scenery was pleasant, and it made one's mood better. What a rich martial power and spiritual energy. Yihao suddenly felt that the martial power and spiritual energy in the air were more than 10 times stronger than outside. At this moment, Yihao had to admit that this was definitely a blessed place for cultivation. Yihao looked at the sky and saw birds flying by from time to time, chirping happily. He could not help but be more curious about where this place was. However, it seemed that these people had not reached their destination and were still moving forward. Yihao had no choice but to continue pretending to be asleep. If Yihao had not seen it with his own eyes, it would have been hard to imagine that there was actually such a place hidden in this forest. It was like another world. After walking for some time, Yihao's eyes suddenly lit up. This was because he actually saw a city. You're tuning in to the Warrior Lore YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.